as well, who may not be Christians, who may not believe in the risen Christ. We accept you as well, nonetheless, on the social media platform. And yes, good afternoon to each and every one of you. Those of you, particularly in Dominica, particularly from the Casibus area, we have the Kalinago territories next door. And this afternoon, we're going to have a discussion this afternoon with two proud Dominicans, one from the Casibus area, originally from Casibus, that is, and the other from the next door community, that is the Kalinago territory. First up this afternoon as our guest here on this program, we have Mr. Glenn Banis. He is from Casibus, originally Dominican, but living somewhere out there. He will give you an update in terms of what he's up to these days. But we have him first up this afternoon on this program, and it's our pleasure to have him here with us this afternoon. We also have, well, his timing is about 1 hour with us, from 4 to 5, that's about the hour. We also have from the Kalinago territory, as I said, the community next door, that is Senator Annette Sanford. So you're gonna have a double whammy, as it were, from the East this afternoon. And sometimes later in the program, we are going to have a special added guest here this afternoon in the name of Adelaide Paul. She was here with us sometimes last week. This week, she will be here in a similar capacity, but in terms of giving us an update as to how things went on, that replicate walk that they had yesterday somewhere in the New York area. So Adelaide Paul will be expecting her to join us sometimes after we finish with Annette Sanford here, sometimes later this afternoon. We have, as always, as the co-host for this program, a hard-working woman, formidable woman at that, Paula Celestine. She's here with us. And so just after I give the topic for this afternoon's conversation, I will have Paula introduce herself to you and also give her opening remarks. This afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the young people in the listening audience and also viewing audience, our topic for this afternoon is basically, we are piggybacking on a topic that we had last week, where we talk about the Kupme spirit, how and what it takes to build strong or stronger communities, that is. And so this afternoon, our guests will be going much deeper in what they think, their thoughts on how we can help build stronger communities in Dominica. And so Mr. Glenn Banis, and also later in the program, Mrs. Sanford, they will be doing justice to that all-important discussion for us. But before further ado, before I move across to Mr. Banis for his opening statement, let me move across to Paula Celestine so that she can say hi and hello and her opening remarks. Paula, good afternoon to you, my dear sister.
Good afternoon to you, Lofty.
Yes, good afternoon, Paula. Good afternoon.
And how are you doing?
Doing pretty well, pretty well.
Okay, how was the week?
Week was excellent. That is challenges, but that is challenges, but I'm excellent. Thank God.
Okay, I would like to say good afternoon to each and every one of our listeners this afternoon by whatever social media you're viewing us this afternoon. I want to say welcome. As usual, we expect to have a very good discussion here this afternoon. A lot of persons will learn from this discussion, and we hope that they will put it into practice. For the persons who usually take their time out on a Sunday afternoon to tune in and listen to us, I want to say thank you very much. And as usual, we expect to give the best. I want to say thank you, Lofty, on that note. I celebrated my update sometime this week, and I want to say thank you to all the many persons who actually celebrated with me in terms of, well, you know, their calls and WhatsApp messages and even by the radio, because I understood that I had even an early and advanced update. So I want to say thank you to the many persons who did, you know, just that with me. So once again, thank you very much, everyone. And good afternoon to our guest, Mr. Glenn Banis, and also to Annette Sanford. Nice, you know, having you all this afternoon. So thank you, Lottie.
Ready. All right. All right, Paula, thank you very much. And Paula, happy belated birthday to you as well. And all those of you celebrating something in the listening audience, happy day to you as well, whatever you celebrated or celebrating today. Thank you very much. It seems as if Paula is getting younger as the days go by, as the birthdays come by. But Paula, stay strong. They say hard work never kills, and I'm seeing that in terms of, you know, your hard work that you put out. So keep doing the good work, Paula, and may we reap the results as a collective in terms of Dominica. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, let me recognize those of you already in the listening and viewing audience. Your participation is key in every discussion that we host here every Sunday afternoon on the Civic Vibes program. So please engage us, engage our guests, and I will try, Paula and myself will try our best to shoot those questions, those comments, those suggestions across from you, the listening and viewing audience, to our guests here this afternoon. Let me now, without further ado, move across and say a special welcome and greetings to Mr. Banis. Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for taking time off your Sunday afternoon to be with us here on the Civic Vibes program. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, and thank you for getting me on this program. I think it's a great initiative to talk about community building, and this will foster a nation building also. So I feel a great honor that you bring me on the show. I remember back in the days, I did a whole lot in my community. Didn't recognize it as community building, but as I grow older and look back, I'm like, whoa, we were truly building the community the old-fashioned way. So again, I want to thank you for this opportunity. And I want to thank the guests and the listeners on Facebook and YouTube and wherever other social media platform. I hope we can have a nice discussion on how to build communities and how we should go about it and the things that affect community building and how we can remove these things, these hindrances. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Banis, for your opening and welcome remarks here. We appreciate your presence here with us. Let me just go straight into it here this afternoon as we are way into the 4 o'clock hour. In terms of just a brief bio of Brother Banis, the gentleman who just spoke a while ago, he will be doing most of the talking this afternoon in terms of our topic, how to build stronger communities. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a thing that we are witnessing slowly and surely, kind of taking a downward spiral in terms of persons coming together to help build their communities in Dominica. No matter if you're from North, the South, the East, and the West, that is a thing that we knew before as children growing up, as adults, if we were adults, we had that sense of patriotic duty to country. And it translated into we doing, not just talking, but we doing in our communities. So this afternoon, we're going to explore that, expound on that topic much more, so that after this discussion this afternoon, you can feel much more, you'll be feeling much more empowered, much more motivated, much more inspired to go do something in your community, not just for the benefit of your community, that is, but for the benefit of Dominica as a whole. So let us get right into it. Mr. Banis, it says here, in terms of a brief bio, born in the village of Castle Bruce and attended the Dominica Grammar School in Roseville for a higher education. After graduation, he returned to Castle Bruce, where he taught for 9 years. During my teaching career, I was involved in many community activities, and that is why we zeroed in this afternoon on Mr. Banis, because right there in his bio points to the fact that he did and continues to do a lot for his community. And so he's a quote unquote prime suspect, prime target, as it were, to help us extrapolate what needs to be done to build stronger communities. So we say he was involved in many community activities, including sports, social events, social groups, entertainment, etc. He migrated in to the USA in 1997, where he furthered his education and obtained a few degrees, following which he has since begun working as an accountant. He is currently employed as a finance manager for a few research departments of a medical center. Mr. Banes, again, it's our pleasure to welcome you here. We just want you right about now to, go ahead, and if there's anything else that you just want to touch on in terms of a further introduction of yourself, please go right ahead and do that, sir. Thank you again.
Well, yes, so all what you said about me, that's pretty much it in a small package. But when I came up to Houston, I went to school, then I went and get a master's degree and all that. So I had my education and my career unlocked. And one thing I was missing there was the Dominica vibes, So what I found, Houston had a huge Dominica population, and we had a vibrant group, the Dominica Houston Association. So I kind of like put myself towards that and help in any way I could so we can move that organization forward. So I got involved in many things like cultural dances, and then going back and forth in communication with Dominica in Dominica and Dominicans over here. And that helped me a lot to associate myself back to the, the DA vibes, I should call it, So I got myself around Dominican. So after that, I got involved back in the entertainment business, and I started to be the accountant for the Houston Carnival. And this is over 20 years, and I've been involved for most of it. And we're celebrating 20 years. So I used a lot of my time away from my career and family. I used a lot of my time promoting. If you go on my Facebook page, you'll be like, that guy is always throwing a flyer there and there. But I do a lot of promotions for entertainment cause, Carnival. And then later on, I developed my own festival with a few of my friends and cousins. We call it the Houston Afro-Creole Music Festival, which we do the first weekend in October. So that keep the culture going for me, and that keep the entertainment, which I used to do back home. It's like just bring it back up here. So it kind of keep me busy, and that's what make me go,
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Before we go further, let me thank in a very profuse way, Brother Banis, somebody in the listening audience in the name of Dr. Simon Matthew. I got to know about you. I got to see you. I got to, just know a little more about you on her platform. That is Dr. Simon. You spoke to her. Yes. And so I listened to that entire conversation, and I said, wow, this guy is very phenomenal. And so I reached out to Simon, and voila, we made contact, we spoke, and then here you are today on the Civic Vibes platform. So Dr. Simon, I give you some rather of the credits of having Dr. Banis here today.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal woman. I told her one day, I said, you're gonna be the Oprah Winfrey of Dominica very soon. And she like, I say, you know what? It's that small, but guess what? It's growing so good. And over the time I know her, she has grown so much, and her platform has grown so much. And I'm so very proud of somebody who takes some of the topics and to discuss it and give people a voice on certain things. And Dr. Simon, I'm very proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. And I'm looking for the Oprah very soon. Out to you.
You're looking for the Oprah out of her very soon. That's good. Yes, indeed. But let us get right into it, Brother Banes. We are here to talk today about, persons doing in the community, persons being active participants in and of their community, persons helping to build stronger communities. The topic today, as I said before, is building stronger communities. Brother Banes, when you heard of that topic from our end, what basically jumped at you?
It brought me back to my days of growing up in my village. And I remember that we had so much going on. We had so little, but we had so much at the same time. But the good thing about it, we did not know we had so little, because we were so involved in different things that it takes away what we did not have. And when the topic came about, I was like, whoa, there goes my day back in Castlebrooks. And I'm looking at things the way it used to be and the way it is today. It's like night and day. And I'm saying that's a good topic. We could have a good discuss on. Other people could pitch in on it too. But that is something that has to continue to be discussed because we need that vibes back, that community building, that community sense back. And maybe some community do have it, but I know a lot of community has lost that.
Yeah, in terms of you in Casabros, growing up in Casabros, what were some of the things that you as a young man used to engage yourself in at the time that you can say now, at least it helped in the Casabros that you know today?
In every part of growing up, I'll tell you what, we used to have this, as kids, we used to have these organizations like the Red Cross, like the Guides, like the Cub Scouts, and all this organization. At the time, we did not know, but these used to prepare us for life in itself. And we used to have most of the kids participating in this organization. So it read out the extra things that kids not supposed to do, like probably engaging in drugs or certain things, because it gave us something to do and something to look forward to. I think these organizations need to come back. I know they're still there, but I don't think they have been participated as before. I think we need to get stronger ties on this type of organization to build us from childhood up to a certain age. Then if you look at it again, youth groups, even in the churches, we used to have some strong youth groups, even in the choir and stuff like that, and other organization, whether it's a social group or not. So we used to have that bond. Again, this gives us things to do. So we won't have to engage in the negative aspect of life. Going further up, the older people had the social league. They had all these different organizations that kept them together. But the most fascinating thing about me growing up in this group, and I always refer it back to, it takes a village to raise a child. It also takes that village to build a big community. Because if everybody is doing what they're doing at a great level, the village itself would be better, the community itself would be better. So if you're a shopkeeper, why don't you be the best shopkeeper there is, with the best customer service there is? If you are a pastor in the church or the priest or in some type of religion stuff, why don't you be the best at that? If you're in the sports and in the entertainment business, be the best what you are. So if everybody take the initiative and the responsibility of being the best they can in the community, without even thinking about it, you have a very strong community. So if everybody play that one part or that two good things they're good at, combine it together, cumulative, you have a great strong community. And that's what people have to think of. The community depends on the individual. It goes into the family, goes into the group, and then we have a great community.
Yes, indeed. So what I basically got out of what you said, or some of what you said, is that whatever someone is doing, they should try or strive to be the best at it.
Yes.
Someone listening now may be saying, but this Banis guy grew up in Dominica and he's out there now and he has it all, or things are going his way. What are you telling me now back in Casabros, back in the Kalinago territory, back in Mahu, back on the block, and there's very little way out for me as a young man, as a young woman. Brother Banis, I hear you, but things are rough, things are tough. What would you advise these people now to do in terms of helping go through the topic we're discussing today and just being better persons in general?
So what I'm gonna say, it might not be appealing to a lot of people, but it's pretty much the truth. And as I said, that because of social media and the rate of how information is being transferred in this world, things are much different. So sometimes my comparison really probably is not a good comparison of the past and the new, you know? But as I said before, when we were growing up, we had very little too. But we just didn't know how little we had because we were so involved in what we're doing. We weren't thinking of the whole general, that person got more than me and whatever. But in today's world, we cannot really probably look at it like that because I could just go up on WhatsApp and see or go up on Facebook and see my friend posting great things. And I was like, whoa, I would like to have something like that. But the truth is that I came up here and people have to know that it's not all what is glitter is gold because the struggle is real up here too. And I came up here, yes, there's more opportunities, there's more, maybe more things you probably could get better than back home. And back home has some better things you can do better than up here too. But I went through the struggle too. I went through a lot of struggle. Maybe I don't talk about it much, but I went through a lot of struggle. And when I spoke to other people, they too went through a lot of struggle and still going through a lot of struggles. So sometimes we look at the things, the glaring things, and say, well, okay, that person life better than mine. But you are right. In Dominica, the opportunities are less, and it's probably getting thinner as we speak. And what I could say to one person, to some people, is that you can't give up because of these things. We have to go through it. We have to work hard still. We still have to live a good life. We cannot use that to go to crime. We still have to go for the struggle with good hopes and figure out the future is going to be better, or we're going to work hard to make it better. And the diaspora people too has to also help to make the place better. So because it's our responsibility to do that. It really is.
Yes, I read through your bio earlier, Brother Banis, that after you came from grammar school, where you got your higher education, you went back to Casabros to work as a teacher. What was the experience like for you there as a teacher in Casabros?
As a teacher in Casabros, it was bittersweet because the thing about it, I really did not want to be a teacher. But as you know, the opportunities are limited. I think at the time, it's either you become a teacher, a police, or something like that. You know, you didn't have much options really. So when I graduated, I really wanted to be an accountant, and I look at scholarships and stuff like that. At the time, it looked like if your name is not such and such, you probably won't even get a scholarship, you know? So I was very limited. So when I went back to Casabros, the principal and the vice principal, I mean, it's a small community. They were all my cousins, and they say, there's an opening, why don't you apply for it? So my mom like, well, you cannot do what you want to do. Why don't you just apply for it? Keep you busy, you know? So I did apply for it and I become a teacher. But the thing about it is that when I become a teacher, I really love teaching, you know? So that's something I did not want to do. But when I become that, I really love teaching. When I see the kids and what you can do to change somebody's life, or the things you say to even make somebody feel better about themselves, I felt like I was doing a good service to the community. So I looked at it as giving back to the community because the pay was nothing anyway. I could have probably planted a garden and do way better at the time than being a teacher financially. So I look at it like I'm giving back to the community because I'm right there. It's community building. Because if you implant something in a child's life, you actually make that child a better person, which is good for the family and the community. So all this is part of community building. So my services that for the first 3 years was really good. I got most improved teacher at one time. I was all interested. I was giving it back. I used to do summer classes with the slower kids. I used to do afternoon classes with the slower kids, weekend classes. So like I sacrificed my entire life for the teaching type. But in the last 3 years, after doing it for 6 years, I was like, I want it out. And then it becomes like a pain, and I just couldn't take it no more. So I had to find greener pasture because my goal was to be an accountant all my life. And when I migrated, I got the opportunity to be there. But while I become a teacher, I entertain a lot of different things in sports, become community leader in different areas. So I think that helped build me. And even when I come over here, I still teach on a level, like a voluntary level, you know, with college kids that just come out of college and they just really don't know how to grasp certain things. Because in Dominica, the good thing about us, they teach us how to teach. Up here, you have a professor, very smart, that come out of, say, from his PhD program, and he can't just give you what he thinks. And he's not really teaching you, he's just giving you information. So most of the younger kids couldn't understand that. So I used to take voluntarily after the class, we used to go in a separate class, and I used to break it down into apple and oranges for them. So that's really gave me a weapon, like it was a good gift for me as a teacher, because I knew how to teach, take something that's complicated and break it down into apples and oranges so the people could understand. So that was a good thing for me at the end.
Yes, yes, and I much appreciate you being able to break it down so that the children back then could understand much more fully what is it that you were teaching them, or what is it that the curriculum was trying to push at them at the time. So thank you very much for that. In journalism, there are 5 W's. And as part of the meat of that discussion, we're going to get into those 5 W's, the why, the what, the where, the who, and the when. In terms of the topic that we're discussing, Mr. Banks, why would you help or advise someone to help be an active participant in their community? The why. Why would Loftus Durham be in, for example, Cochrane, and be part and parcel being active in his community? Why?
I think it's our duty, man, like to make our community better. If we have the pride and the sense of love for where we grow up, and I could talk about myself, why I do for my community is because of the pride I have. When somebody say Castlebrus, I make it look like it's a country by itself. Like, wow, there's nothing like Castlebrus. You know what I'm saying? So if we have that pride and that love and joy for our community, I think it answers the why. You want to make it better. And making it better is for you to do the things that make it better. So I think the love and the joy and the pride should come into place, and that alone should tell you that why you should actually be active in the community.
So I got from you that the why is a very important ingredient in helping build stronger communities.
It's probably one of the most important for real, because if there's not a why, I mean, there's no reason to build. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll just go to the next community. If there's not love and joy and whatever, if that one is not living, like if I'm in the States right now and it's not working for me in Houston, I can just easily move to New York or move to LA because it's not working for me. Now, why it's easy for me to do that? Because I don't have that type of relationship with Houston. Yeah, it's a nice place and everything. It's a city I've been with there. But that pride and joy, I don't have that, you know, that pride and joy for Houston as I would have for Castlebrus. But if you tell me just get up on abundant Castlebrus, it's a different thing. If you tell me get up on abundant Houston, if the opportunity better in Miami, I'm gone, you know? So it's easier to uproot from Houston to Miami than uproot from Castlebrus to another community. So yes, the why plays a great part in that. And I want people to go back to not always the economic value, although the economic value of things is great because you need that to survive. But let's go back to the principles we grew up with, the love, the appreciation, and the pride we have in community. And it's easier said than done when you're hungry for somebody to tell you, close your eyes instead of feeding you. I mean, it's easier said than done, but I would like us to go back to that area where we could feel that energy, that love, that pride, and that will be motivation to help us. I mean, that's the best way I probably could put it.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. In terms of still the why, we are still on the why person should get involved.
Yes.
Even if the challenges present themselves, why should somebody still persevere, as it were, in helping build their community? What are your thoughts?
So even there is like pressure on them, or there is less opportunity and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, as I said before, we never had that much to begin with. And we probably have even less now, who knows, because things changing globally. So we still, if economically it's not working in that area, that's why a lot of people migrate anyway. I'm not saying that you should not migrate, but even you do migrate, there's a certain things you can still do to help your community and to build it up. So even there's hindrances in the community, we still have to press forward, I'm thinking. And I know there's a lot of hindrances. I'm not going to sugarcoat it like it's all good. No, it's not all good. There's a lot of hindrances. So, but I'm just saying that we still have to persevere in that area to make sure that our community is safe and to make sure it's keep on building.
Yeah, indeed. Paula is here. She's sitting and she's taking in all information. Let me move across to her now for her to chime in on maybe a question or two. Yes, Paula.
Yes, Mr. Banis. Okay. Thank you, Super, for what you have said. Yeah, Mr. Banis. What are some of the challenges you think that there is in assisting the communities or building the communities? What are some of the challenges?
Some of the challenges are the attitude of our people today. Like before, we used to have more of a community building. Like even back then, I remember the Kudme thing was easier, like where you're building a house and a couple of people come and give you a hand and you put up your shack and you have a little shelter with less cost. In today, if anybody wants to come, and I'm not saying that for every community, I'm probably saying that for what I know. If anybody wants to come and help, you gotta pay them $1 or some reward. Yeah. But back then I remember growing up, my grandfather would he was a fisherman, a farmer, and he used to go in and he used to make boats, actually, the canoes, right? They dug out from the big trees. He used to dug in the canoes and make boats. And when he go in the forest and get it, no, he had to pay nobody. Just get him a bottle of drink, and then everybody comes out there, and we pull that lumber or that tree trunk and bring it down closer grounds, and then we set it up. Even like in the community, your block, you're doing something, everybody put a hand. So our attitude has changed towards that. It become everything has to be paid, and that is one of the things that's a big challenge. Another challenge is migration is a big problem too. So the communities do not have the number of people to do the things that need to be done as they used to probably a couple of years ago. So migration is a big problem, and also people are not making babies again for some reason. I don't know what they're scared of. We have good water, why not make a lot of babies? But this is, if we don't have a good population, there's our economics probably cannot add up as well as it should. So we always have to be mindful of that. Politics is a big game changer in Dominica. It's been like that. It's getting worse. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I wish all of us could come to a point where we do the same. Let's not get mad and kill each other for political differences. Let's do what we have to do, but at the end of the day, we could still do Kudma, we could still say good morning to our neighbor. So we have a lot of divide. Really, John, it's even 1-2, and it's been a problem a long time. And I remember, I hope it's better now, but I remember now, if you're Catholic, you're considered different than Christian and stuff like that. So and I'm sure there's a whole lot of other problems that prevent these things from happening. So if we could address some of this problem, I think we could be in a better place. And one for sure, the economics is very important, because as much as I can tell you, do this, do that, have a great heart, have a great mind, do this, you still got to eat, you know? So money has to flow. In other words, I'm an accountant, a finance guy, so I know what money can do and what money cannot do. So if, without money, there's nothing much that you could do flowing. So it's not, as I said, I don't want you to have an idea that you have to pay for everything when you could help your neighbor. But at the end of the day, you gotta eat. You're gonna have to have a job. You're gonna have to have something to take care of your family. And I'm aware of that. So I don't want to paint it like everybody just need to help, and don't get paid. I'm just saying that for the things we do, the little things around the community we do, you don't always have to be a payment, especially if you already have a job. So most people that will come and give you kudme, they already have a source of income probably that they don't need that little extra bucks. You know what I'm saying? So if we are active, engaged, and employed, I think the kudme part probably could be better. Because if I come out work and my neighbor is putting up a shop, I can go give a hands because I don't have to get $1 from him. We could just sit down, take a drink, and help. But if you don't have a job, you'll probably say, well, if I get $1 over here, probably I'll be able to buy bread tomorrow. So I see where the kudma thing is disappearing.
Yes. Brother Banis, you put a smirk on Paula's face when you ask the question, the all-important question, why women in Dominica don't seem to be making babies or be very, quick to make babies anymore. And Paula kind of had a smoke on her face. Paula, why you had that
Paula,
smoke?
what you thinking of though? I didn't tell you to make particularly, but that's all right.
Mr. Banis, back in the days, there are some people every year they used to make a child.
Yes.
But in those days gone, you were talking about like shilling and pence. And you were talking about how cheap the bread was.
Right.
And people were using a lot of the green banana and the ground provision and the river fish and all of that. Today, when you are sending people to make children, the economy is very, very tight. There's no money. Sometimes you see a mother with 2 or 3 children and she's struggling. There's something we call the Red Clinic, and sometimes they have to go there to get the assistance. Now, when you come all the way from Cassibus and you go to Roseau and maybe you get $100, you have to pay the bus fee, $10 to come down, $10 to go back, you have to eat something. At the end of the day, I can do nothing for the kids. So the thing, and not only this, now the children hardly even want to eat green banana and the green plantain and the river fish. All they're concerned about is the fast food. And by that, it's very difficult for the parents themselves to deal with that kind of situation. Because when you have 2 or 3 children and you do not have the money for you to buy the milk and to buy the bread, and you decide for you to cook 2 grains of banana and squeeze a coconut and put a little coconut milk on there, like what we used to do back in the days, the children tell you straight, they rather stay hungry. So when you're talking about making the children now, yes, there are some persons maybe that might want to make 1 or 2 because we all know the children are the future for tomorrow. But the economy is very, very, very difficult at this time. And some people tell you, oh, it's not only in Dominica. They say when you go out there, it's difficult as well. I can understand you may have your struggles out there, yes. But the thing about it is most of the people who leave Dominica and they go overseas and they tell you, oh, it's hard time over there. Yes, we know it's hard, but these people, they do not return to Dominica because life is better for them. When you're paying a house rent here for about $600 or $700 EC, then back in the States, you maybe pay this very same little 1-bedroom house for like about $1,000 US. You don't really feel that because the money you make is much more. So it's like, yes, maybe some people would like to make more children, but when the kids start crying and you do not have the milk people do not even use like cloth diapers like before because they tell you that's gone out of the day. So everybody wants to use Pampers brand. Pampers is a brand lofty. So they want the huggies,
that's so true.
you know, and they want their kids to be looking good and all of that. They're not going to take that chance. So that was my response to it.
Well, my dear Paula, I agree with your point. I said make more babies because it's just the thing to say, because that's how we can grow our population, is to make more babies and to bring people in. But I agree with your point, don't get me wrong. I'm in Houston. I think I have a decent job, living good, and I have two. And I decide I'm not making more. You know what I'm saying? So I feel you. But the point I was making is that that's the way we can grow the population. But it's probably not going to happen like that, because for real. Because I remember my grandmother had she probably had like 15 pregnancies or 17 pregnancies, I think. And she ended up having 11 kids back then. And I was like, how do you do that and stuff like that, and nothing to eat? And I always go back to my point that, yes, they probably didn't have nothing, but they didn't know how little they had. You see what I'm saying? Because the things around them was sufficient. The little couch, the little milk straight from the cow was good enough, and wasn't it? But because of internet and because we know so much more information, these things are now packed. And you cannot blame the kids. I mean, the fast food cannot look attractive. Come on, man. I mean, think about it. It's not the healthiest, but they package it in such a way, and they purposely do that to attract the kids. You know that McDonald's specifically do their things to attract the kids. So the fast food company are doing their part, but our educating the kids part is hard because we cannot compete against $1 billion industry, you know? So they do what they have to do to get the kids interested in this fast food. But whereas we don't do the job, or we cannot do a job as good as them to educate the kids, that is not the best, you know? So probably we just have to try to deal with habits growing up. Like I know growing up, some people was not giving their kids sweets at all, because if they know they taste it, they'll like it, and they'll just eating a whole lot of it. So I don't know, but I take your point, and you're right about that. Making a lot of kids is probably not the best right now because of the economy and all that.
Tough economic situations. Yeah.
You need to have money for kids, and I tell people that making kids, you got to have some way of taking care of the kids, and taking care of the kids today is different than than 30, 40 years ago. When in the village, my grandfather could just bring cow milk straight from the cow. And these kids probably don't even want that. They probably want it packaged in a nice little colorful bottle, you know? It's different.
Yeah. Mr. Banes, time is slowly but surely running out on us. We are here with you for an hour, and it's already quarter to the hour.
Wow.
We have to take some comments from our fans, because as soon as I advertised that you were coming on, a lot of your passee, quote unquote, from Castle Bruce and the surrounding communities, they were, wow, my brother Banish is coming on. I want to hear from him. But just before we go to take some of the comments on the Facebook feed, there's an activity that you're part of in the Houston area where you live, the Houston Afro Music Festival. Yes. That is one way that you're giving back to your community. Can you just go a little more in detail as to what that activity is all about and when it is held? And how are you still engaging Dominicans in that festival, sir?
Well, okay, so the whole idea of the Houston Afro Creole Festival come out that a cousin of mine that say, hey, let's do on a small scale, let's do a Creole Fest like Dominica, but on a smaller scale, because we don't have the backings that Dominica have, like the sponsorship and the government backing and all that. So let's just do a little thing among us. So when he invited me, I told him, well, since I was involved in the carnival, I can't do nothing small. So we have to go big, or I'm not doing it. So we put a team together and we did it. And then I included the name Afro because I wanted Africans involved in also the Creole part of it. So it's a festival about Caribbean music, African music, and the South music of the state, which is things like Zadiko. I mean, it looked close to the instrument we use for quadrille and that kind of things for Jingping, but it's a little different. They call it Zydeco, and it's a Creole music because Louisiana is very strong in Creole. They're different type of Creole, but it's very strong in Creole. And also because it's so close to Texas, a lot of that energy and a lot of that culture moved to Texas. So Zydeco is a big thing down here. So since we are from Dominica, we were like, okay, we could start with Dominica. We started with Dominica artists, I think, who came up? Matt from Q95 came up to host it the first time for us. And we had Hunter and Sai as Calypsonian came up and do it for us the first time. And then we start engaging Dominicans in it because one of the goal was to bring out some of Dominican artists or Dominican culture and blend it with other cultures, you know? So when people come, they could see what we have to offer. So we start bringing Asa Banton. The next year, I think I brought WCK, Asa Banton. I brought a lot of local, like Harry Moore. I don't know if you know of Harry Moore, good reggae artist. He's from Monjon area, but I think he's based in Colorado. And oh man, there's a couple of other artists, local. Big Stepper is my best friend. He's based in New Jersey. I brought him down also. So at one point in 1 year, we had like 15 different Dominicans act in 1 year in Houston and just giving them the opportunity to show their talent. So we grew from that. And last time, I think we had Teddy St. John from St. Lucia. We had a Nigerian piano player, violin player. And we had a whole lot of other artists, somebody from Honduras. So we blended it in. But the whole idea about it was to bring out Dominic and showcase the talents. But as we're going more global than just Dominica.
Okay, good. And what time of year is that festival held?
Every year, the first weekend in October. Before the pandemic, we used to have a 2-day event where we have what we include, we call it the Henny Glow. It's an all-white party where Hennessy is at discounted price, or you get chance to win Hennessy drinks. I think the last time we did it, we had Rio coming up. He didn't make it, but we're looking forward to sometimes when he can come up again. And then we have the culture part of it, which is the Sunday, where we have an outdoor event and we have many different acts. So every October, the first weekend in October, we're gonna have it. So this year again, last year we only did one. We only do 1 day because of the pandemic, and we did it on a smaller scale. But this year we're going back full-fledged to our original way of doing it.
Okay. Just before we wind down things here, if someone is listening and may want to get in contact with you, especially as it relates to that festival, be it in terms of participation or come in and enjoy themselves, how and where can they find you?
Well, you can hit me on my social media. Glenn Ban is on Facebook, Glenn Ban is on Instagram. For the festival, you can go to Houston Creole Fest on Instagram, and then also Houston Afro Creole Music Festival on our Facebook page. Go like the page, send us a message. And I mean, if you really want to call me, you can call me at 281-905-3711. You can WhatsApp me a message if you want to get involved and stuff like that. But we're looking at bigger things and bigger picture. We're trying to get more international artists on the scene. And hopefully we can get a lot of more Dominican artists also.
All right, my brother. Well, I want to thank you very much for at least, you still playing your part and engaging the Dominicans back home so that you can showcase them on the world stage. I want to thank you for that. That is part and parcel of helping build your community and country. Thank you very much. As we're about to wind down in just a bit, I know we can see many, many more things, but promise us you'll be back. But we must bring down that segment with you in a while. But before we do, let me just move back to Paula so that she can chime in here. And we got to bring it down in a wrap in just a bit. Yes, Paula. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Banis. Mr. Banis, someone who goes by the name of Mali Ostri said, you were a lover of mathematics.
Yes.
Mali Ostri also spoke about a 360, something to do with music. And
Well,
also,
some people have some good memories, but
first person who brought arcade to Cassibus.
well,
Are you still involved in this? I know you spoke about being an accountant, yes, and this has to do with mathematics.
yes.
What about the arcade that Kerry Lockhart spoke about?
Okay, so back then we were just for teens. Don Esprit, Kurt Blah, and I, we were in our teens, late teens, go early 20s. And Castlebridge, as you know, it really didn't have nothing to do. We were just on the block. So to avoid that thing going into smoking drugs and selling drugs and misbehaving and fighting, we wanted to keep ourselves occupied. So we just say, let's just build under my mother downstairs. Let's build a little thing for us to relax. But we build a little things to relax just for us. But then a lot of people start coming around and patronize it, and we're like, whoa. My cousin come from Totola with a system. He say, let's bar it with coconut leaves and whatever and make something. And then it became a club, and it became like a very popular club. People from the Southeast used to come, from the reserve used to come, boss load and stuff like that. I remember back then, our first gig, Tony Astop, and he wasn't a lawyer yet. He was just a young boy lying in. He came there, he saw it, he like, wow, you need to go by Astop's next day and take anything you want. I'm like, for real? Because we're young, we don't know about business, and he used to tell us anything we want. So I thought he was joking. I went down there. Astopans gave us everything we asked for. So we just built it, like drink and whatever we needed, and then we paid them later. And I was like, wow. And then we built that thing, and then a lot of the young children used to come. We put in some games in there. That's where Kerry is talking about. He used to come and play his little pool and then play his little games. I forgot the game's name back then. But yes, we did have something like an arcade, and we did have a club. So what we did now, a lot of the young guys, they used to come here and avoid the troubles of the society. This is community building too, and this is where my entertainment experience started. So we started from there, and I came up here doing something similar or even more. But yes, you're right about that.
Yeah. All right, let me just move across. Thanks, Mr. Banis, for those sentiments. Let me just move across to the Facebook feed now to give you an idea what the conversation is going on there like. Bernard Allen says, greetings to everyone. Matilda Popo, that is a former youth officer engaging with young people still. She says, great discussion. Brother Omar Mornell, Banis,
Yes.
maybe you know that brother.
Yes,
Omar is
yes.
saying, Glenn, don't forget about the food and the wedding and those bakes, bro.
Okay, so it's just a business. My wife, she does event planning, and they consider the best at it doing there. And then
Okay.
she makes the best bakes. They call it Julie's Bakes. If you come to Houston, my brother, if you come to Houston, my brother, and you don't have that, don't consider yourself being in Houston. So if you
Wow.
reach Houston area, make sure you call me. You get the best bakes ever in the world. I don't know. People wondering what she put in it, but she just have that name out there. Yes, Omar is right about that.
And I know we have a lot of Houston persons on the live now, so that is a good promotion there for your wife. So persons
Yes.
from Houston living in the Texas area, please visit Julie for that kind of bakes that Brother Banis is talking about. Aura Burton is watching here with us. She said you need to have finance to have babies. We accept
Yes.
that point, Aura. Aura also is writing, it is our duty, to help or support the place that gives so much to us when we were growing up. Others did it for us, now we can do it for others in return. That is a comment of
I
Aura
am
Burton
with that,
watching.
and I'm with that. And I do
Yes.
that too a lot. Like during the summer, I think we sent a 40-foot container to my community, distribute certain things for babies and stuff like that. So this is something I'm engaged with. I always go back to my community. Another thing I want to deal with in my community is go back. I grew up on the court. I was a top basketball player in the community, and I see the state of our basketball court, and I want to call some few people and see what we could do about that, because it's very embarrassing, and I don't even want to show the pictures. It's very distasteful. And that is one thing, because sports is dear to me, and I know sports changes lives, you know. So I want to make sure that our basketball court is at least is operable or something like that.
Sure, sure. Desmond Dublin is also writing here, a very succinct point he's making. He says, community development or elders engage in, for example, village councils, cooperatives such as credit unions, KUDME, cultural/social events, participation by citizens in the building of their communities helped immensely in fostering togetherness and also self-esteem. He ends by saying, though sadly, the trend, community spirit and participation, respect for elders and love for country and community, among others, is regressive. Would you agree, Dublin?
Yes, I think we started on that trend when we started. We're talking about the groups and the KUDME and the stuff like that. He is so correct about that. Yes, this thing back. But again, as you said, that some people are depressed and they feel like they can't survive the pressure on them. I don't think they're built different, but if the political warfare we have, if it ease up, I think we could do way much better. I'm serious, and that is the thing I hate the most about my community or my country now, is the political divide. Everybody has political divide, but I think we take it a little too personal, because regardless where you go, there are going to be differences in opinions. We cannot go against that. But my brother is right about what he's saying.
Yes, indeed. There are some other persons commenting here. Let me see if I just speak up a couple more. We are on the 5 o'clock hour now. Yes, I'm seeing our other guests here. So in terms of the interest of time, let me just let Paula give us a closing remarks before I come in to wind up that segment, if you, Brother Banis. But it was a pleasure. Thank you, Paula.
Well, thank you, Mr. Banis. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Banis. There have been a lot of good reviews here and comments from persons who knew you way back. And they're saying that you need to bring back the 360 Club at Casinos. Nevertheless, Mr. Banis, I want to say thank you very much for such good program this afternoon. In the interest of time, it's like our time have run out. We're hoping that we will have you again very soon, where we will continue this discussion. So do have a blessed Sunday afternoon, and thank you once again.
Thank you so very much. Great discussion. I love it.
Yes, Brother Banis, like Paula, I want to thank you very much for your coming on here this afternoon. I want to thank you immensely on behalf of the many, many persons are locked onto the live this afternoon. Some of your fans, some of your friends, they are there with you. And so we just want to thank you very, very much, brother, for taking time off your Sunday afternoon to come and speak to us, speak to your fellow countrymen and women. That is all about and part and parcel about helping build stronger communities. I know for sure there are a number of persons looking at you this afternoon, and really they're seeing you for the first time. They're hearing you for the first time. And so especially as you talk about your wife and a big, so that is all part of the bringing us together as one community. Dominica is very small, 60, 70,000 persons. That is like a drop in the bucket compared to other areas in the world. So, we have to do what we have to do, and let us keep that spirit going in terms of the KUDME spirit, the one looking out and helping each other. That is what will take us over the finishing line, far above politics and religion and whatever things.
Thank you.
That divide us so much. Thank you, brother.
Thank you for that, man. It's a pleasure being there. To all the people on there, yes, I'm still interested in bringing back the Club 360 and make the community live again. But in the meantime, I want our sports to be vibrant. Sports and education is my heart. Entertainment is probably the third one. That the togetherness is that's what we need to build a community. If everybody, and our philosophy is that I can build Dominica and you can build Dominica, but we have to build it block by block. If I take my block and make it the best block in the world and everybody make the best block in the world, our community is built and the Dominica is built. Seriously, block by block.
Indeed, block by block. And what a way to end. Thank you very much, Brother Banis. See you sometimes in the near future. Nice engaging you this afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Talk to you soon.
All right, my brother. Bye-bye. On behalf of the many folks viewing and listening, thank you. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
All right, same here.
All right. Okay, gentle people, that is it for our first segment here this afternoon. We just finished or concluded a very candid discussion with a brother out of Castle Bruce, originally from Castle Bruce, but is out there in the Houston, Texas area, still doing good things for and on behalf of his people in Dominica. So that brings us to a wrap for this first segment. Looking forward to our next segment where we have another dynamic guest in the name of Mrs. Annette Sanford, no stranger to us in Dominica. And so she will be here with us for the next hour thereabout. Stay tuned, Dominicans, for a very interesting follow-up discussion with Mrs. Annette Sanford coming up soon. Take a break. We're going to take a little musical break. We'll be back in just a bit. All right, Dominica, yes, we got to fight on, very, very positive words, very motivating words. We got to fight on for the liberation of our country, Dominica. Dominicans, those of you still there with us, we want to thank you very much for your patience and your indulgence this afternoon. We crave your indulgence, though, for another, let's say another hour and a half thereabout. We now have as our guest here this afternoon, Sister Annette Sanford. Let me see if we are getting a loud and clear. Mrs. Sanford, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Lofty. How are you?
Doing pretty well, doing pretty well. How are you?
I am fine, thanks.
All righty, all righty. Paula is here. Let me just let Paula say hi and hello to you. And we're gonna ask you for your opening remarks in just a bit.
All right.
Good afternoon to you, Miss Sanford.
Good afternoon, Paula.
And how are you doing?
I am great. Nice to see you.
I said, and how are you doing?
I am doing well, thanks. Are you having problems hearing me?
Well,
Are you
nice
having
to have you
difficulties
this
hearing me?
afternoon on our guest, and we are looking forward for a very informative session here this afternoon, a lot of information. And as usual, we know you are a very good speaker and does a very good job.
Thank you.
Not only as a politician, but as a community worker.
I do my best. I try.
Mrs. Sanford.
Thank you.
All right, yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Paula, for greeting our second guest here. Well, Annette Sanford is no stranger to Dominica. Annette Sanford is no stranger to the region. And I want to think by the world as well, because someone of Annette Sanford's caliber, getting like a tongue twister here, with the kind of work that this young lady does in her community, for on behalf of our constituents, for on behalf of our Kalinago people, for on behalf of Dominicans by extension, then the name Annette Sanford by now is a household name in Dominica and the region and further afield. So, Mrs. Sanford, again, a pleasant good afternoon to you appearing here, taking time off your Sunday afternoon. Let me add your busy Sunday afternoon. I know you're a busy lady, but you know, taking time off to grace us here with your presence this afternoon. Again, we welcome you in a big way.
Thank you very much. Let me just say good afternoon to your listeners. Those of you viewing here on Facebook, good afternoon to you. It's a pleasure, really. Thank you for inviting me to this program. I will do my best to ensure that people understand what I am about and what I have to say. I think the topic is very relevant now, you know, in terms of the community discussion and how we as a people can work together to reach the goals and the visions that we want for our people. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity this afternoon, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion.
Indeed, fruitful it will be, I can tell you that. Let me just get the conversation going here this afternoon by reading a brief bio that you submitted to us here as we get into the meat of the discussion here this afternoon. It says here, Annette Sanford was born and raised in the hamlet of Snakeau, home of the Lescali Tetchien, a scenic, mystical heritage site in the Kalinago territory. Her mom died when she was 7 years old, which was her trajectory to nursing. For at a tender age, she learned to care for herself and those around her. She obtained an Associate of Arts in Nursing from Dominica State College, Bachelor's in Nursing, from the University of Edinburgh, postgraduate certificate in health, care administration from the St. Lawrence College in Canada, and currently pursuing a master's degree in international public health with the University of Liverpool. It continues here. After working for 11 years as a registered nurse in Dominica, she moved into the political arena and contested the Kalinago chief elections in 2019. Currently, she owns and manages Natari Care Services, a care agency that offers vocational training to geriatric caregivers. And geriatric caregivers, for those of you on the live and don't know what that means, basically it means information or advice to people, especially those who are caring for the elderly. It continues by saying she is the founder of and chair of the Quebec-QRT. Is that stand for Quebec-QRT? Is that?
Quebec-QRT.
Oh, Quebec-QRT. Wow.
Yes.
We will get into that word. That's what I'm saying. We'll get into that word in just a while. But it's Quebec-QRT, right? So she is the founder of and chair of Quebec-QRT Inc. That is an NGO in the Kalinago territory, which is focusing on empowering of her indigenous people. Finally, she is also a farmer. Yes, Dominicans, you hear that very well. She's also a farmer, wife, mother, and currently serves in the parliament as an opposition senator for the United Workers' Party. Mrs. Sanford, again, it's our pleasure to welcome you here. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Let's start with that Quebec-QRT word. What it's all about?
Quebec-QRT is a Kalinago word, and it means that which multiplies. I chose it because usually names tend to live up to their, their potential. So, for example, it is said that if you're going to have a child, you give the child a name that you would want that child to be like. So Quebec-QRT, meaning that which multiplies, and I'm hoping that, we will just multiply with the projects, multiply with getting the funding that we need, and that's exactly what has been happening.
Wow, okay. Well, at this thanks, I learned a Kalinago word today. That which multiplies is Quebec-QRT.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Sanford, let me ask you, what have you been up to lately? I know you're always on the move, but what have you been up to lately?
Oh, there are so many things. There are community projects that I'm working on. that we got through our NGO. You may have heard of the bamboo afforestation project in the Kalinago territory, and that is being funded by the United Nations Development Fund. So we started that about a month ago, and it will run for 6 months. So we're helping farmers to propagate and care for the bamboos. And then later on, the craft vendors, the craft artisans, they'll be able to use the bamboo to make their own crafts. So the second part of the training will engage the craft artisans to be able to make craft products. But not only that, we're going a little further in teaching them to do things like the bamboo flooring and the bamboo roofs and so on, so that whoever is interested in doing, you know, a little bar or a little building next to the road, they could add that authentic Kalinago look to the area. That is one of the projects. And then we also have a beekeeping project that's coming up. We're also working on getting it organized. We are training farmers again to rear bees and to, in the end, really to produce the bees, to produce honey, and we're going to brand it with a Kalinago brand and sell that, of course. Then, of course, I have my small community projects being involved in, you know, taking care of the elderlies, meeting some of the needy community members, their needs, helping them with their needs and so on, touching bases with the schools and doing what I can with them at the time. And I also have my personal project that I'm working on, but that I will speak more of when it's finally coming to fruition. Yes.
Annette, I know you're a very, very busy woman. Just trying to get your loan. It has been a challenge.
Really?
But I know, yes, but I know you're not idle. You are somewhere out there doing something in your community, and we zeroed in on you in terms of, you know, just come in and help expound on that all important topic of what does it take to help build stronger communities. And we know, for example, in the Kalinago territory, that is the indigenous people of Dominica, you are playing a very pivotal role in helping build your people up, be it financially, be it in the health areas of their life, agricultural sector, whatever it is. And so we zeroed in on you from Civic Vibes to just come and help explain to the Dominican people how can they be part and parcel of helping build stronger communities, thus helping build a stronger Dominica. So off the bat, when we hear about the term stronger communities, what first comes to mind?
Well, when I hear the word stronger community, I think of a community that is morally, socially, spiritually, and financially fortified. You see that connectiveness within its members, and they're able to work together to achieve a common goal. So you have that collective vision, and also you find that people are able to respect each other, respect each other's differences. So, you know, all these, I think, make up a strong community.
Yes, indeed. And how are your people up there responding to your engagement with them on the ground in terms of hands on deck kind of, you know, in terms of helping? How are they responding to you? How are they responding to that call?
Well, I believe that the people generally have been looking for this kind of leadership who will have that down up approach, because many times what we have noticed is that we have leadership who use the top down approach. So they make decisions and they pass it on to you, and you don't have much say in whatever is being discussed or decided. So right now, I try my best to engage the people that I'm going to get involved in with the activity. So if I'm working with the elderlies, I get to know what they feel or how they think about what I'm doing. Before I start my project, I try to engage the farmers before I start my project, so I know exactly what they want. And not only what they want, but what is best for them, you understand? And so I think that is very, very important in leadership. You have to be able to engage the people. You have to be able to work with them, listen to them, and understand their needs in order for you to be able to do for them. And not just you sitting and thinking off your head of projects that you can do and you think will be beneficial to them. That doesn't always work. So people generally appreciate when they're part of a project or they're part of a program and they can offer their words, you know, their discussion, their ideas, and they can help you work on that particular project and help build it up. So people feel more involved, people feel more engaged, and people are more willing to work with you when you do that. So generally, I believe because people love that approach, then it's easy for them to work with me along that line.
Yeah. So what I'm getting from you is that your type of engagement with your people and people in general is you really engage them
Yes.
to bring out the best in them, as it were.
Yes, definitely. And that too, I've learned from my nursing profession. So, you know, you always have to engage the patient. You always have to find out, do your assessment first before you are able to, you know, give them the care that they actually need. So that's very important. You have to be able to assess, you have to be able to diagnose and then do your implementation and also evaluate what you did to see what was the impact of what you did.
Yeah. Ms. Sanford, your area, your neck of the wood, that is the Kalinago territory. We know the Kalinago people, the strides that they have made to quote unquote keep Dominica safe, and their continued stance in defense of Dominica. In terms of you, as you said, trying to bring out the best in them, what are some of the activities that you engage them in, you know, now and then on a daily basis to help bring out that kind of best practice, quote unquote, through them so that they too can be part and parcel and feel proud of helping build their community? So what are some of the activities?
Yes, so like I say, most of the activities I have, I try to engage the individuals. So for example, with the bamboo project, we get all the farmers together. We have them come in, tell us how they feel or think about the project, and we give them an opportunity to decide if they want to be part of it or if they do not want to be part of it. And then we work with those who are willing. With the youth, the same thing applies. I try to meet the youth groups, work with the young people, get to know what they would expect from me, what are some of the things they're looking forward to. You know, so I try to keep in touch with all of the leaders per se in the community, all of the community groups, so the youth groups, the teachers, the farmers, and based on what they need, then I'm able to say that I can assist in, you know, wherever I can. So if, for example, there is an elderly leader, for example, some of the SW caregivers, some people may approach me and say, we need some masks, right? That's what they need. So then I will do my best within my capacity to see if I'm able to get these things to them, you know? So that is really how I try to get them engaged. I always speak with them. I always try to meet them. I always try to have discussions with them, listen to them. And that is better able to guide me as to how I can be of assistance or how I can do things that are important for the community.
Yes. You spoke of that bamboo project. Can you go a little more in detail as to letting us understand better what is that bamboo project and the end product of that bamboo project? What is involved in that project?
Well, some years ago, we had a few students who went to China to study. They did bamboo care and propagation and planting. However, these students came back and for years, they have not been able to use the knowledge or pass it on. Some of them work with other organizations and so on. So we've also been looking around, and even with the current construction of the road, what we see is a lot of the areas, a lot of the trees are being destroyed. And even after Hurricane Maria, we have a lot of areas that are prone to landslides, but not much have been done to try to protect these areas. So when we thought of this project, we decided to do something to conserve the land, and as well something that will be able to bring benefits to the community. So we're achieving two things here. One, we're able to protect our soil that is prone to landslides, slopey areas, provide some form of income to the farmers, and then train the craft artisans to do something more so they could be able to make some money for themselves and sustain themselves. So with the bamboo planting, like I said, we're trying to go into other products that Dominica has not really gone into. And maybe sometime we may even try to get some of the other seeds in the other countries, because there are different types of bamboos. We only have one species of bamboo in Dominica, which is not the very strong ones. But there are other bamboos around the world that people use to do furniture. You can do your sofas, you can do even your house, of bamboo, and it will last. There are products like bamboo plywood, which is just as good as the wood. So this is what I am envisioning, and what we're envisioning to happen for the territory. So in speaking to some of these people who have been trained, they're saying, okay, these are some of the things you can do with the bamboo. And because we have that knowledge, we can assist the community to get to that goal of using the bamboo for other things and helping it to create livelihood for the people.
Yes, thank you very much. Much appreciated in terms of that little more detailed information as to that bamboo project. We well know your people they being a very strong people. Strong-willed people. They stood up against the test of time, as it were. Out of the Kalinago territory before, there were a lot of agricultural produce coming out from there. There used to be, a lot of craft, a lot of arts and craft products coming out of there as well. What is the general feel as to that kind of production? Is that still available in the territory as we speak?
It's not as much as it was before. The agriculture, well, all around Dominica have been reduced quite a bit. I mean, if we look at the figures of the revenues that we're receiving right now in terms of agriculture for Dominica, I mean, it is not as it was. There's a huge, huge difference. So hopefully, we heard that the government may invest a little more into agriculture because of the threat of the CBI passports sale may not, because of all that problem they're having with the CBI right now, they're trying to go into agriculture, which may be a good thing for us. Because like you said, the Kalinago community has always been very dependent on agriculture. The people, that's how they survived, the craft of agriculture. So the farms right now, like I have a neighbor once who said, I'm not even motivated anymore to do farming because I produce a lot, but I'm not getting a market for it. And that has always been an issue. So when they heard that perhaps the government had this plan to get a boat to transport our goods to another country, everyone was happy, because that would be a good thing for the farmers of Dominica to be able to transport their produce to somewhere else where they could actually get the sale for it, seeing that the Dominica market is too small to get to absorb all that they produce. But many people have gotten a little frustrated because they're not seeing the benefits of what they're putting into their farms. And so a lot of the farms have turned out to be abandoned. They gave up. So we do have a few farmers here who are still trying to maintain their farms. And during the pandemic, a lot more people are starting to get slowly into it, but more so for subsistence use. So people farm because they want food for their homes, but not necessarily for commercial farming. So there are just a few farmers who do farming for commercial use right now.
Wow. So basically, I'm getting from you, in terms of the picture that you're painting, there's still some livelihood up there, but not to the extent of how it existed before.
Definitely. Well, I would say everywhere in Dominica is almost the same, because people are no longer able to do for themselves as much as they would want to. There's a cultural dependence on the government to supply most of the needs, even for basic things, paying your bills. that has been the culture right now for Dominicans over the last 20 years, and it's going to be very difficult to break through unless we as a country start producing and start engaging our people in activities that will be able to generate income and build a stronger economy. But it has to begin with the community, like you say. So if, like for me, right now I'm working very hard to see how we can do projects that will have the people benefit, so we can gradually graduate out of that dependency state of having to depend on the government for everything. So who knows, maybe we can come up with a project one day to apply for our own boat and be able to help our people to transport the goods to Guadeloupe or Martinique or ourselves, you know. And these are the things I'm looking at. These are the projects I'm looking forward to engage in projects that will create a livelihood for the people so that they wouldn't feel helpless or feel that they're in a state where they have to call on the government to assist them with their basic needs.
Yes. Also as well, in terms of the whole community togetherness, the whole community strengthening, I saw you were playing and you are still playing a very critical role in the backyard gardening thing. The basically, as your bio said, you are a farmer. How has that been for you guys in terms of you, Annette Sanford, a woman, a mother, putting your hand in the soil and thereby helping other persons to gain an income, one, and just to have a better self-worth about themselves? How has that been?
I would say, to me, right now in Dominica, you have to be strong. You have to be very strong to be able to withstand all the challenges that you face, even like for me, particularly as a politician, because growing up in the Kalinago territory has not been easy. Like most people know, we generally grew up in poverty. So all of my life, I've learned to really work hard to get what I want. And that's what my parents taught me. You always have to work hard. So my dad was a very hardworking farmer, and he still is. He's 70 plus, but he's one of the biggest farmers as well in the territory. So we grew up always going to the farm, always being involved, always assisting. And all of my brothers right now are engaged in farming, my sisters, you know, we do farming. So for me, setting the example, I believe any good leader, you have to set the example. You have to be able to demonstrate to others that it can be done. You have to be able to do that you can do things and you can rise above the challenges. Because as an opposition person, I believe that the strategy of the government is to really suppress us to the point where we give up on our dreams, we give up on our goals and our objectives. Because if they're able to do that, then people wouldn't be able to look at us and say, okay, I want to be like Annette, or all right, I can overcome my challenges too. Because being in that state of dependence is what I believe their strategy to keep on winning elections. And we need more people to be ambitious and to continue fighting. If you look at the environment in Dominica right now, a lot of our young people who are very ambitious, they do not stay in Dominica. I mean, if you have been looking at the news, DNO and EMO, many of the times they highlight our Dominican students abroad. They're doing great things abroad. They don't stay in Dominica. So most of the ambitious youth, they leave. They leave because they want better opportunities. They want more growth. They want something more. And so the only way they can get that is to move out of the country. And so the strategy of the reigning government is to ensure that those who stay and who are ambitious, they are suppressed to the point where they cannot perform, they cannot do well, and to keep them in that state where they will just have to look to them for everything, and then they will keep on winning the elections. But being a good leader, you have to try to do what is best for your people. Also, Because over the last 20 years, what we have seen is that Dominicans, generally, well, not everyone, but Dominicans like certain things. They have grown to like their current situation. And some people may get angry with me when I say that, or may not agree with me when I say that, but they have become comfortable with living from day to day. And I say that because you cannot be supporting individuals who are constantly putting you in situations where you constantly have to be looking to them for assistance and not empowering yourself and be comfortable and just accept it, if you know where I'm getting at. So
yes, I sure do.
So we have to be able to get our people out of that mental state, to be empowered, to be able to fend for themselves, to be dependent. And so strong communities, if you look at strong communities don't really need good leadership, because you have strong people. You have people who are accountable. You have people who are transparent. You have people who are strong spiritually. And so they are the best people. So in these strong communities, and when you look at places like perhaps Roseau North or even Roseau Central at some time, these people are dependent people. They don't have their businesses. They're making their own money. So they are able to think critically. But the weak communities are the communities that need strong leadership, because this leadership would need to guide them and do what is best for them and not necessarily what they like. Because our general population right now likes things to be handed down and not necessarily what is best for them. So we like the loud music, we like the parties, and the political party that can give that to us, then we would support them. And that is the kinds of discussion we hear right now. People look for leaders that perhaps they like, and not necessarily the leaders who will do the best for them. And that has been the situation with even the Kalinago territory. They have been choosing a party that they like. So they can go to Mr. Skerritt and get a burial fee to bury their loved ones. They can get free housing. That's the culture that we have developed. And so now the opposition party, which is a party who is focused on doing things that is best for the people, empowering them, helping them to make their own money. So then they would be able to build their own homes. They'd be able to send their children to school without having to depend on a scholarships we have. They'll be able to provide meals for themselves and their family without having to ask somebody. That's what the opposition party is about. But most people don't like that because we have grown so accustomed to getting these things for free. So it's going to be a hard task for us. And generally, quote unquote, people will say good leadership is the people you like. And the Dominican Labour Party right now have read and they know exactly what the people like. And so they're able to feed on it. So they're feeding on what the people like. All of the activities, all of the program, they give you what you like, but is it the best for you? That's the question you have to ask. Is it the best thing for you, or is it the best decision for you? After Maria, everybody's homes were destroyed. Some people were unable to build themselves a home. So the government step in and they give you a free home. Is that the best solution for you? What is really the problem? Is it that you cannot provide for your family a home? Or is it that you have no money to build yourself a home? And so you have these two parties, one who will focus on getting you the money so you can build your home, and the other who will give it to you for free. Which is the best for you? So these are the questions we have to ask ourselves.
Yes. Indeed, thank you. And we know, Annette, for sure, nothing, absolutely nothing in this life is for free or comes for free. Yeah? There's a cost behind everything. Though you may not be paying up front, but there's certainly a cost. So I agree with you 110% on that point. You made a very succinct point again that I really agreed with, in that when you said that You know, when we have strong communities like we're discussing today, how can we make communities stronger? When we have strong communities, then we don't necessarily need strong leaders in these communities, because the people will drive whoever leader there is to be, you know, in a certain frame. That is what strong people in any community basically stand up for at the end of the day. But just before I bring in Paula to chime in here for a comment or two, you painted a picture of a very doom and gloom situation where you spoke of the hopelessness that exists today in our society, the sort of dependency syndrome, as it were. Let us, I know you touch on the opposition party, but let us focus on Mrs. Sanford, Annette Sanford. How are you prepared, Annette Sanford, to go in there whenever you get in there? Because I know you will get in there. How are you prepared to change that level of dependency syndrome of primarily your people in the Kalinago territory? How?
Well, Lofty, I'm not waiting to get in there. I think I'm already working on it, because it has to. I don't think you need to get into any position per se of like perhaps leadership, quote unquote. You can lead from where you are. Anyone, everyone can lead from where they are. And to me, doing what I do right now is already a start to getting the people to realize that there is need for more. Even in the Bible said, by the sweat of thy brow you shall eat bread. So we have to learn to fend for ourselves. We have to learn to build communities that would be able to create for themselves these little economies that will grow. And most of my projects, like I say, is focused on doing just that. So the beekeeping project hopefully will help farmers to gain a livelihood from that. So you get to rear your bees, you get to sell your honey, you get to make money. That way you can save, you can expand. The bamboo, same thing. You grow the bamboo, but you're also able to use it to make crafts. You can use it to build a house for somebody. You can do somebody a roof. You can do somebody flooring. You know, even with the program we had yesterday with the cleaning up of the playing field. Playing field has been abandoned for almost a year, more than a year, I would say. So we got the teachers and the parents and teachers involved to clean it up. And the whole idea is after it's cleaned, they will use it to do fundraising activities where they can, you know, continue making the money to pay somebody to keep it, to maintain it for the rest of the year. So finding solutions to work within your own limit, working within your own limit, doing things that you can manage, though small, but you start small and then it grows. That is my strategy. You start small and then you can grow.
Yes, thank you very much, Mrs. Sanford, indeed, for those very, very succinct points. Let me move across now to Paula so that she can chime in with a comment or two as we move along.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Sanford. I'm sitting here, Lofty, and listening to Mrs. Sanford, and she has said so much in this very short space of time. And I totally agree with her. It was last week here on this very same program that I spoke about the boats that the government actually said that they were seeking to get the farmers' produce across to other countries. And they said one boat was too small and the other one was too big. And I asked, what about the correct size? Now you have in farmers who has to go to the farm, they has to produce all of this, and then they have difficulties in getting markets. If you know you have a market out there, then you are going to work wholeheartedly. But after doing all this hard work and you cannot find a market for your produce, this in itself is kind of discouraging to persons who put all their effort in there. Now, listening to Ms. Sanford here this afternoon, I want to say to the Dominicans who are listening, be it that you are here or wherever you are, what Ms. Sanford is saying here, it's no exaggeration. A few months ago, I drove to the Carib territory, and somewhere in the Carib territory, Mistress Sanford, along with a team of women, there wasn't any gentleman there, a team of women, and they were selling produce. And all of these was all grown by this team. And I'm saying when you have even women as farmers who are putting the effort in there, and at the end of the day, they cannot find market, this in itself is very discouraging. And what Mr. Sanford is speaking about here this afternoon, this is the approach that persons who are community leaders, this is the approach that they need to take. Because when you go into the community and you are working with persons who need assistance and you are trying to get the assistance for them, this is somehow encouraging. And she spoke about maybe persons listening can say, okay, these people are trying to help themselves. She's very encouraging. She's a team leader. And like she said about a boat, where they can continue to grow and maybe they can extend and then do some exporting. If there are other persons in other community who is listening to Mr. Sanford this afternoon and they have this very same mindset, this is a very good initiative, because helping yourself, this gives other persons the ability to want to assist you. But when you just sit back and lay back and just say, okay, I'm depending, on someone to give me, it's like people are not really willing to help you. So this afternoon, listening to Mr. Sanford here, and the amount that she have touched on, because when you as a young person growing up, and you are depending on a government has to assist you in giving you a house, in giving you the money for you to have to go to the supermarket to purchase the food. When you make your own money, you will always have for the next day. But when you have to depend on the persons who have to give you, it's like, how long can you continue to do this? If you find yourself a job or you are self-employed, then you are able to purchase what that you need. But when you have to go and look for the assistance all the time from other persons who know exactly that how they can play the games on your mind, then you come today, they give you $50 or they give you $100. You maybe have to wait another month again before you can get that money. But if you decide to create employment for yourself, and then you have persons who that can assist you because they see that you're making a way for yourself, then this is a better way out. So I'm saying to other persons in other community who's listening this afternoon to Mr. Sanford, I'm saying you all should take a page from this, because she's a hardworking person. She's a community leader, and we are hearing the amount of things that she's been doing for her community. And other persons out there can take a page from exactly what Mr. Sanford is saying this afternoon. Thank you.
Yes, Mrs. Sanford, you want to chime in anything on what Paula said?
No, I think Paula said everything, but I also just want to say, it's not that I have left my farmers like that. I have networked with Mr. Shillingford, who was able to assist us, or some of the farmers, in exporting some of their produce to places like Martinique and Guadeloupe. But unfortunately, we are not able to help every farmer. So only a few farmers can be assisted at one time because of the amount of produce that's been taken. So in that regard of finding exports for my farmers, I have tried my best in that regard. I would like to do more, but like I said, there's a limit to how much produce I could take every 2 weeks. And that is a little issue, but I've also worked in that area in terms of helping my farmers in the area.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for those comments, Mrs. Sanford. Let me just move across to the Facebook feed to get some comments coming from there. And you can please feel free to take some notes. And if you want to chime in on any comments or suggestion or question as there, please feel free. Omar Monel is writing, with the work she's doing, and I guess that is Mrs. Sanford is doing in her community, one can say she is already ready. I love that. She is showing the people and the country she is a leader. All right, that is a comment coming from Omar Monel. Matilda Popo, Matilda Popo writes, Management by objective is a great approach for success. And you definitely have the right approach, Mrs. Sanford, and she's saying congrats to you. Peter Carbon writes, community involvement in project development and implementation was being implemented by the DREP program in 1988. That is the point that Peter Carbon writes. Janice Jacques writes, love how you are listening to your people and taking into consideration what it is their needs and wants are and how you can offer your assistance to them in that regard. Margot Larocque writes here, what do you really think after all these years of killing agriculture, this regime is interested in farming, or do they want to get their sticky fingers on the funds? That is Margot Larocque, sorry, comment here on the live. Didi Easter writes, Miss Sanford is exhibiting the characteristics of change agent, also known as an advocate for change, acts as a catalyst for change management process that is lacking at present. She continues by saying, by inspiring and influencing others, she is helping the community transform how it operates. That is a very succinct comment coming from Didi Easter. Rosie Nice is writing here, amen. Speak it, my dear. The people choose a party that can give them handouts, keeping them in the mindset of beggars. Casey Candy writes, political counseling. That is Casey Candy's comment here. Gertrude Abraham Deschamps writes, thank you, Mrs. Sanford, so true. So I guess Mrs. Deschamps, she too is agreeing with some of what you said there. Let me move to see if I can get some new names in terms of comments. Dorian Dorival writes, preach it, sister, say it like it is. Robin Melba Donna writes, if you give a man a fish, he will be hungry tomorrow. If you teach him to fish, he will be richer forever. That is Melba Donna comments here. Another comment coming from Emma Frederick writes, you are so right, Mrs. Sanford, speak it loud and clear, my dear. All right, Yogi Dudu, someone goes by the name of Yogi Dudu, right? So proud of you, Mrs. Sanford. Carol Fountain is writing, very nice, Mrs. Sanford. We have some persons basically dominating the conversation here, but I want to get some fresh words in there. Clara Lynn Warrington said, thank you very much. You nail it, Mrs. Sanford. Yes. And we have Elizabeth Douglas writing, Mrs. Sanford is a woman of action. She not only talks the talk, but she definitely walks the talk. So these and other similar comments, Mrs. Sanford, in terms of the conversation we're having here, that is some of the sentiments that are being portrayed here on the Civic Vibes platform, that is. Any comments from you based on what you just heard?
I just want to say thank you for those kind remarks. I know quite a bit of the people that you called, so hi to all of you. Thank you for listening.
These are your fans.
Yes. Yes, I specifically want to touch on Margot Larocque. She mentioned something about sticky fingers. I wouldn't want to call anyone a thief, but what we have noticed over the years is that the economy of Dominica is getting so bad, but yet we see that the politicians elected directly involved in the government are amassing wealth for themselves. And you ask yourself, how is that with our country not even producing enough so that the citizens can enjoy life? Now, when we think of how we are getting these funds, I honestly, as a person in my opinion, I think that that is a lazy approach for any leader to sit back and just depend on our assets to accumulate wealth. I think that is a very lazy approach to leading your country. Like most people point to agriculture, I mean, we're the nature island of the Caribbean. we have the fertile soil, we have the people who are willing to work, and we have not been able to invest into that area. And the investment that we are making, it's not encouraging the people to produce. So you give them the gears that they need, but then you don't do the follow-up, you don't do the monitoring, you don't do evaluations. And so at the end of the program, you still find that most of the people who perhaps received those inputs really didn't produce anything. I know quite a bit of people who were selling the fertilizers and selling the gears, you know, people who have actually received those things. How do we encourage people to get engaged in agriculture? How do we encourage our young people to want to get engaged into agriculture? And so we have to look at other ways to make it more attractive. We have to start with the schools, the young children, the high schools. We have a lot of high schools right now. If you look at the areas where they have the greenhouses, it's abandoned. These are the areas we have to start to train our youth to be able to have them love agriculture, and they grow up with that in their mind, that agriculture is important. Because long ago, people look at agriculture as something that young people shouldn't get involved in. But right now, agriculture is the way to go. Everyone wants, you have to produce food. People would need food all the time. And Dominica is in a perfect position to be able to be producing food to supply to our neighboring islands. So, you know, I just want to say that this amassing of wealth for your own personal use, to me, this is not the leadership that we should look forward to having. We need that wealth to be distributed among the community so that everybody can enjoy life.
Yes, indeed. Annette, we really engage you this afternoon as a community leader, someone who is, you know, really entrenched in your community. We always end or try to end our program here on a very high note in terms of a call to action question to all our guests. And so this afternoon, again, we want to ask you that call to action question as we bring the curtains down on the program here this afternoon. We know you have much more to say. There are some parts we did not use this afternoon, but maybe sometime on another program. Just as a call to action question to you, Mrs. Sanford, how would you now use this platform to encourage your people primarily, and by extension, Dominicans, other Dominicans, to go out there and help build their community much stronger, much better? The topic this afternoon all circulated around building stronger communities. So how would you advise those persons listening now to us there this afternoon, how would you advise them to go about building those strong communities where you said, and we agreed, that if a community have strong people, then basically they don't necessarily need strong leaders? How would you go about, you know, encouraging these people?
First of all, I would like to encourage every one of our listeners to put God first, because to me, I think that's one of the primary ingredients to having a stronger community. We need to have that spiritual connection with the Almighty Creator to be able to listen to His voice as to determine what is right and what is wrong. That's the first thing. And it's very, very important. A lot of people right now, if you look around, have lost that sense of spirituality. And we need to get back to that. We need to get back to the basics of connecting with the Creator and listening to His voice. Secondly, we have to stop the discrimination. There is just too much political divide among community members. And for me in the Kalinago territory, Mr. Frederick and myself, we get along. We don't quarrel, we don't get into fights. I mean, we debate, that is it. But we're able to work together on certain things. If he invites me to an event and I can go, I will attend. If I invite him to an event, sometimes if he can't make it, he will send someone. So we are able to work together. So there's no reason why members of the community should feel that they should hate their neighbor or hate their family member because of the politics. We have to learn to work together to the common goal. We have to have a vision for a community, and we have to work towards it and put aside all these differences. We have to allow for the opportunity of discussion, and that is one of the major challenges that we've had, where people are not really involved in the decision making. And not only doing it because as a means of formality, but doing it because you really, really want to hear what they have to say and you really want to act upon it. And the reason I say that is several times there have been discussions within the territory from leaders. They come, they discuss, but at the end of the day, the decision that we come up with, they do not take it, they do not implement it. They give us their own decision that they had already in their minds. And the example I can give is with the housing program. One, the World Bank and members of the government came up to discuss with the Kalinago people what they would expect from this housing program. Kalinago people and some of the leaders did mention to them that one of the issues that we've had is that construction of these buildings have to be authentic in terms of the Kalinago culture. It has to reflect our culture and our tradition. And it's not talking about the straw houses, but the architecture. And yet, they still went ahead and did the homes according to their own designs and how they felt it was best for us. The second example I can give on that is with the KDF, Kalinago Development Fund. For a while now, we've been discussing of having a Kalinago Development Fund in the Kalinago territory where people would have access to credit, but they will also have the opportunity to be able to save, because a lot of the elderlies, a lot of the people who want to save have to travel to Roseau or Castle Bruce, Marigot, which is sometimes very difficult for traveling. And so they were hoping that this development fund would be accessible to them. And this again has not happened. Instead, the leaders placed it at the aid bank. So we have to allow for the open discussions. And when we allow for these discussions, we have to consider the decisions that were made by the people. And of course, we have to use the grassroots approach. That top-down approach doesn't work anymore. We have to be able to engage the people and listen to them and implement the programs that they feel will empower them and will be the best for them. So these are my few takes, of course. These are the few points that I have for encouraging people to feel empowered. Let's have that connection between us. Let's put aside our differences and let's work together to build our community. Let's volunteer. Let's get engaged in discussion. Let's do things together, you know?
All right, indeed. Mrs. Sanford, I want to thank you very much. But just before I give you, on behalf of all the viewers listening and watching, let me move across to Paula so that she can give you some of her parting words as we bring this program to a wrap. Paula.
Yeah, thank you, Lottie, once again. Yes, Mrs. Sanford, you spoke about some NGOs earlier, and for persons listening here this afternoon, be that you live overseas, and I know we're in hard economic times, but after listening to Mrs. Sanford here this afternoon, and they've been speaking about the boat and exporting of their produce, I hope there are some persons who can make some contribution. Maybe you could start small, get a small boat, and see how much more that you all can export. And then from there, it can be expanded. So once again, Mrs. Sanford, thank you very much for this great information here this afternoon. And I think leaders need to take a page from all what you have said here this afternoon, because it indeed was very good information. So once again, thank you for being with us this afternoon, and looking forward again to have you on another program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paula. And for those of you who want to follow my work, we also have a website It's kibekwati.org, so you can follow our NGO work on this website. kibekwati.org, KIBEKUATI.org.
Right, indeed, very much, Mrs. Sanford. Let me end here this afternoon by reading a comment, which I think kind of puts in perspective all what you have said here this afternoon. And that comment comes from one of our persons listening and viewing all the way from the UK at this time, Marilyn B. Isles. She says here, she have a lot of respect for Mrs. Sanford, and Sanford. She's a woman who is driven and passionate about upliftment of a people and Dominicans on a whole. So that sentiment for sure, it really resonated with us here, and it will kind of sum up what we really want to say to you in terms of your contribution here this afternoon. So once again, Mrs. Sanford, thank you very much on behalf of those listening, on behalf of those viewing, Paula or myself, the Civic Vibes team. We want to thank you very much in a very, very profuse way for coming on and basically just telling us a little about, you know, your thoughts, your ideas on how to make communities stronger in Dominica.
Thank you. So much love to you and your team. Civic Vibes for inviting me here. Thank you for the opportunity, as I said before, for allowing my voice to be heard through your platform. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to more fruitful discussions like this in the future.
Let me just confess something to you, Mrs. Sanford, before you leave. You are one of the leaders in Dominica. You're one of the women in Dominica that I really admire you. I have a lot of respect for you in terms of what you do. You really go into the trenches and helping people up, you know, and so you are, at least you have someone looking at you out there, and that is yours truly. So continue, keep on doing very, very good work.
Thank you. And have a good evening.
Have a good evening yourself. Thank you, and bye-bye. They need a part 2 from Miss Sanford. All right, Dominicans, that is, we have just completed rather the second leg of our program here this afternoon. We're gonna move into the third and final gear, which is the last leg of our program. We have coming up as our third guest here, no stranger, Adelaide Paul. She was here last week. We're gonna take a little musical interlude, as it were, and get back to our third guest here, Miss Adelaide Paul, in just a bit. We just spoke to Mrs. Sanford a while ago, very motivating, very inspiring young lady. And I can tell you, as they say, it's only the stars that is there for Mrs. Sanford at the end of the day. Let us take a break, a musical break. We'll be right back in just a bit. The poor man I feel it, that market Peter Tosh said those words long, long time ago, and it is still a reality today. Yes, indeed, Dominicans. Yes, the poor man affiliated Dominica, and we can attest to that in Dominica. Some poor persons are really feeling the pinch around this time. We want to thank Peter Tosh for penning those words many, many moons ago, and basically singing it on stage. Very, very true song indeed. Where we are concerned, some of us are concerned in Dominica in these times. Dominicans, yes, we crave your indulgence for just about 20 minutes, 30 minutes thereabout. We now have the great opportunity to introduce now Miss Adelaide Paul to the program this afternoon. Adelaide Paul, good afternoon to you. Your mic is off. Your mic is off, Adelaide.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, Lofty. Good afternoon, Paula. And good afternoon to all of Dominicans, both in Dominica and in the diaspora who are following you right now. Very good afternoon to everybody.
Yes, indeed. Very good afternoon to you as well. Miss Paul, we saw you in action, leading the troops, as it were. We saw Dominicans by and large this weekend. I was yesterday out in your numbers, out in the cool, briefing the weather, basically replicating the walk that we had here last week, Wednesday, and which continues or which promises to happen every Wednesday for now. So we just brought you on to give us an update as to, how things went for you guys.
Okay, thank you, Lofty. Well, maybe like a synopsis. First and foremost, I just want to thank the people who were there from day one, people like Jeffers Joseph, my mom, Angela Paul, who's listening somewhere right now, and Norman Shillingford, Zed Lloyd, Aura Matthew. These people were the troopers. They were there from the start. They just continued moving forward and being extremely supportive, and everybody who showed up to support, the Sissy and Francis and Gerald and Peter and so many. There was quite a few new faces, Nelly and the new faces who came out, who had never seen before. Of course, we had our very supportive Bowie, Salisbury troop who they're always there. And so yesterday started, before we start, I looked at the weather. It said earlier, about a week ago, that the weather was going to be sunny, but a little bit on the cold side, but sunny. We left yesterday very early. We got to Manhattan. Norman Shillingford was our driver. Thank you, Norman. It's always a trooper, such a patriot.
Adelaide, just before you go ahead, to mention Norman, I was expecting a particular dance from Norman. That was my only disappointment yesterday.
Trust me, he probably would have done that dance, but he followed us throughout the entire period. We were over by the at the UN building. There was a particular elderly lady who she spoke, and she had such a powerful thing to say. You could hear the pain in her voice. And because it was so cold, luckily he was there with his vehicle. So, my mom, after a while, and, that elderly lady and a few other people were able to, when it got really cold, get some shelter in his vehicle. So thank you so much for that, Norman, always there, always supportive, such an authentic and true patriot, and just want to give kudos to Norman. And so we went out there, and so we were the first people there, Jeffers, my mom, Norman, and myself. When we got there, we waited close to the park, and all of a sudden the weather just got really, really dark. Luckily, I think God was really on our side, because right across from where we were standing, there was a covered galvanized, I guess they were doing some maybe construction work there. So we were able to shelter the rain there. And as the time progressed, more and more people started trickling in. And so we started the walk approximately about 11:30. And so we walked down right next to First Avenue, right opposite the United Nations building. We got to the park. There was back in 2014, we done a protest at that very same park. It's just not too far from the United Nations building. And we gathered there. And so you were hearing the voices of so many people who just felt that it is time for Dominica to get to a different place. And, you had guests on today, and they mentioned, especially Mrs. Sanford mentioned the fact that we've hit a pretty much, I'll call it a new low in the Commonwealth of Dominica, where people are really still so afraid of standing up. And so I think when Athi started the work, that was Athi's focus, that if we can just encourage each other to stand up, then that is what is really important, because we need to get the people involved. We need to get the people so much more involved in the decision-making process. Every time we talk about the situation in Dominica, it gets to the point where we say they should be doing this and they should be doing that. The bottom line is, I don't think anything is going to change with this administration because of the way that they've done things and the things have worked for them. So when you make a people totally dependent on you, it's very difficult for them to stand up. So the whole inspiration of the walk was really to let others know that, listen, guys, if one supports the other, then the other will support the other person, and maybe we will gain the strength that we need to let them know that we are the citizens. We put you there. We can take you out of there. But we can only do that when we get the strength to stand up, when we get the strength to unite, to come together. And, you know, so, like I said, Lofty, there's something that I have noticed a lot. Politics is a very divisive thing. It divides. And especially in our community, it has become so tribal and so cultish that the minute you look like something different, it's almost like you're attacked. And so people, to protect their sanity, for self-preservation, they think, a lot of people think it's better to just not say anything. But a democracy cannot continue if we remain quiet. There is no quiet in a democracy. And so the people who came out yesterday, the speeches that they gave, the things that they said, and I think one of the very significant conversations that I had yesterday was listening to Jeffers Joseph and to Norman Shillingford just talk about the fact that, yes, we can sit here and we can call Skerritt's name from now till kingdom come and talk about, you know, Roosevelt. And until we as a people take back that power from this man, stand up in unity, not be afraid to stand up, not be afraid to come out, because we have to protect that which is ours. We got about 45 people to come out. Could the crowd have been bigger? Could the group have been larger? Oh, absolutely. And I think the very same things we suffer from in Dominica, and I have to say this, the very same thing that we in the diaspora oftentimes accuse Dominicans of, in Dominica, we seem to be suffering from that very same syndrome. You asked me last week, I remember very vividly, Adelaide, are people in the diaspora scared of standing up too? Yes, there are many people in the diaspora who do not want to stand up because they are really afraid of what their family members may tell them. They may be ostracized from groups. There will be the criticisms. Oh, absolutely. But that is life. We have to get to the place where we say, it's not going to break you. They will say whatever they have to say, but the reality is, until such time that we as a people, as the brave people who braved that cold and rainy weather yesterday, decided to stand up in front of the United Nations. We were right in front of the United Nations, that symbolic building of democracy. We know we do not have a democracy in Dominica. When people are scared to stand up, when people are afraid to talk, when people are so dependent on a government every time that they need something, they feel that if they talk, if they show their true colors, it will not be given to them. And it is paraded in their faces every single day. Didn't we see a house giving, apartment giving ceremony sometime last week, Thursday or Friday? What did we see? We saw everybody dressed in red. And I keep saying, this is not the government of the people of Dominica. This is the government of the Labour Party. This is the government of the Labour Party. Lofty, you're sitting, your background is the Dominican flag. Paula's background is the Dominican flag. You are a Dominican. Paula is a Dominican. Every single person who walked in front of the UN, the United Nations yesterday, is a Dominican. Is a Dominican. What does that mean? You have the same right that Paula has, that Roosevelt has, that any minister of government has, that any citizen of the land has. We stood up yesterday without fear of anybody from the United States telling us we cannot stand. We stood up freely. We were more scared of, well, not me. People are more scared of being here and their relatives seeing them back home standing up against this regime. That is the kind of climate that has been created in Dominica. And so how do we as a people gain back that strength, Lofty? That is the million-dollar question. How do we become strong enough? How do we become brave enough? How do we become united enough? How do we become supportive enough to say this land belongs to each and every Dominican equally? This magic word, equally. And so when my brothers and sisters in Dominica stand up, when they stand up, they're standing up for every other Dominican who should get a fair share of what Dominica is. Not because you are a red or a blue. And so we have to get to that point where we can empower every single citizen to come out and stand up. And if we do it united, we will get somewhere. Because when you start seeing people power, no government gets more scared than when people start showing their power. And we have it, you know, Lofty. We just have to bring it out. And so we did the walk yesterday in front of the United Nations. About 40 to 45 of us were out there. The beautiful part of that walk, and I felt so good when it was done. And I'm pretty certain that's the same way Athi felt. That the people who came, they said, we're not going to stop. Are you kidding me? We're going to continue. That was every single person said it. We are going to continue this. We will continue together. So we're forming an organization and we are going to reach out to all our diasporan brothers and sisters within the US and out of the US. We have to do this. We have to build a momentum. Nothing great starts off big, you know. Sometimes it takes just one person, one simple little thing that happens that starts something going. And Athi started it in Dominica. And it should continue. It must continue. We have to engage other people. We have to bring other people on board. We have to do this for Dominica because I'm telling you, if we as a Dominican people become brave enough and stand up, there is so much that we can achieve because we know Dominica is a land filled with potential.
Yeah. Adelaide, let me tell you what that did to me personally, what you guys did over there yesterday. Huh? For someone who has been on the front line from time immemorial, when I watched you guys out there yesterday braving the weather, what that did to yours truly personally, it basically gave me the encouragement. It gave me the motivation that I need to continue that work, to continue the work of liberating my country. And so it was symbolically what happened yesterday. It was like pressure from outside, pressure from inside. And you know what this song says, what pressure does. So it's like Dominica now I compare it to be like a boiling pot. Imagine you have pressure outside, you have fire outside of that pot. You have fire under that pot. You have it on the inside as well. What kind of, pot you will end up with. So whatever we have to do as a people, Adelaide, we have to continue to do it. And so I just want to commend on behalf of Paula and myself, we just want to commend every one of you guys who stood up yesterday. And you said something which struck a chord with me earlier, in that you said some persons are afraid to stand, in that some of them don't want their relatives back home to see them standing, because those persons who are out there, they are so scared, sometimes not even for themselves, but their relatives back home, the victimization, the vilification, every sort of shun that comes with it when it comes to this government. So some of those persons who choose not to stand, I can better appreciate why they are not standing. It's true, they should stand, but they know if they show their face on camera, like you do, Adelaide, like Cecilia Bedminster and Anifa Adams and, you know, Zed Lloyd and you guys, some of their relatives back home will be going through the wrath of this government. This government, their tentacles are not short, they are far reaching. But as you said, and I will concur with you, it is by you and I, all of us standing collectively, demanding accountability, demanding much better governance of our country. That is what, and that alone can cut it for our country. So I just want to thank you guys for at least starting the ball rolling in your neck of the wood. I know in 2015 there was one, so you guys really didn't start, but you know, you continue. And it is that kind of a pressure from outside and within. I am convinced that is going to cut it for us at the end of the day.
Yes, Lofty, absolutely. Because one of the things that we, you know, just while we were there, just having these conversations, and everybody said, no, we are going to continue. This is what we are going to do, and we're going to bring in more people. And so we want to do this in a much more organized manner the next time. Maybe we'll have more placards, because the light needs to be shown on Dominica. It needs to be shown, because if you notice, anytime there is an international issue that comes that really affects the Roosevelt administration, you notice that what happens is they quickly say something and then it goes away. There is no explanation, no accountability. We still have the Syrian issue looming. We don't know. I don't think this thing has entirely gone away, because we don't know how that is going to come back and bite us in the behind, since we have only terminated relations. We have only, suspended relations indefinitely. That means that we still have a relationship with Syria. You know, it's just been suspended indefinitely. We did not terminate it. So what does that say for us? So all these things are still looming. We hear, yesterday I got an email. We have a new embassy in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. We just signed diplomatic relations with Morocco. And so over and over, we have these international issues that are so out there that are affecting Dominicans, while Dominicans at home, they are the ones who suffer the consequences. So you hear of Dominicans getting new passports. Dominicans who just got a passport a few months ago have to pay a whole lot of money to get a new passport. The government is not subsidizing that. Who messed up? Why aren't we being told what is the purpose? Why all of a sudden Dominicans are being rushed to get a new e-passport? And you see, when Mrs. Sanford was on, she was saying the very same thing. Dominicans never get a say in the runnings of the country. They are not given any, there is no accountability. They don't get to have any input. They're given houses. Nobody really consults with them and say, okay, these are the types of houses that we know. If you're going to build a housing community in Castle Bruce, these are the kinds of houses that we would like in our community, because we're a farming community and blah, 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 blah. Nothing like that. People come, foreigners come, they make decisions on behalf of Dominicans, and Dominicans have to take it. Whether they like it or not, they just have to take it. So we're hoping that what we do next, we can collaborate, we can have it jointly with Dominica in whatever way, shape, or form, but we should certainly come together and plan for the next one. And hopefully we'll have some media out there to shine the light on the things that need to be shown, because we can't live in that bubble, and Dominicans are the ones who continue to struggle and who continue to feel the wrath of this administration. It's the people, and we go back again. All of this is the people. And Lofty, I hear you when you say, yes, I understand that some people's family, I have family in Dominica too. I could have taken a back seat and say, me, I'm not going to say anything because, it's going to affect my family, and so on, so on. So, and my family has been affected by all the decisions that this government has made. When Ross left, it affected the entire town of Portsmouth. I'm from the town of Portsmouth. So they've also been impacted by decisions that this administration has made, that there was absolutely no consultation. So we can't sit by and say, Roosevelt should do. He is not going to do. We have the power, and we have to become bold and brave and say, listen, guys, we're going, even if we have to, in some way, shape, or form, support our brothers and sisters back home, we have to stand. We must stand. We have to let the people know that this is their power. This is what democracy is about. And we're tired of getting our democracy taken away from us.
True. Let me just let Paula add a few, and then we will take some of the comments on the live feed, and we will bring it to a wrap in just a while. Yes, Paula, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Paul, and thank you for each and every Dominican who stood up yesterday in solidarity with our here in Dominica every Wednesday. And like you rightly said, there's person out there in the diaspora, they are scared to walk because they do not want the persons here in Dominica, their family members, to see them walking. And these are the people who are expecting maybe to get a scholarship for his or her daughter. They are the persons who expect that they are going to get an apartment. And if, they see them over there walking, it's going to have a great implication here for them. And this is why we are saying people need to be independent instead of being dependent. Because if you're an independent person, you can stand at any time, you can speak the truth. And this is the reason why I take the opportunity. I'm self-employed, but I take the opportunity every Wednesday to do the work, and I walk in full white because I know at the end of the day, I have a son, I have other family members, and some of them may not want to work, or some of them for whatever reason, maybe disability and whatever, and I have to stand and I have to work and I have to speak out. And that's the reason why when I walk, I know I walk with no fear. Because anytime you have fear in your mind, you're not going to go out there to do anything. And I'm calling on Dominicans, for those who sit in their comfort zone and believe that everything is okay, eventually it's going to turn up to you. And I'm saying that the numbers should grow. Last week, Wednesday, I did saw the numbers grow because the Wednesday before, the amount of persons we saw walking the street, I think it did double last Wednesday. And I'm calling again on Dominicans wherever you are. Get yourself on a bus, get yourself on a bicycle. Don't say I do not have money. Let's make the effort and get out there. If you have things to do, let's see if we can do it on Monday or Tuesday, or we can do it after the work on Wednesday. Let's get out, let's get to the streets, and let's voice our opinions. Don't be scared, because it's only the persons who are not scared that can go out there and they can do the work. I'm not depending on any scholarship. I'm not depending on any house, because I know way back in time that persons used to work, even if the money was small, but persons used to make the sacrifice and they used to build their own homes. And then at the end of it, they know they have something that belongs to them. I'm not sure whether you heard the other day that there's someone who passed away and he was living in one of the houses that the government gave to him. And by the time the man, I think his body was still warm, some other family member who was living in there, the keys were taken away from him. Is that the Dominica that we really want to live in? We know past government have built houses before and they have given to persons low income houses. At the end of it, these houses belong to them. They have something to show that these houses belong to them. No, you have government building apartments and just giving to persons. I'm not saying there are not persons that are in need. Yes, they are in need, but let's create employment for persons who are in need, that they can earn something, and at the end of the day, they have something belong to them. Who's going to maintain these apartments? Those of you who are still waiting for the scholarship and still waiting for the little $500, do you want to wait every election for you to get a $500 or $1,000 or $5,000? I'm saying no. If we are employed here in Dominica and we get a decent salary, this is much more than waiting on the government or depending on the government to give us $1,000 or $5,000. So I'm saying, Dominicans, wherever you are, come this Wednesday again from 10 o'clock. We are making the work. Come down to the city. Come and stand for peace and justice. And by only doing that, we can have a different Dominica. So the people out there in the diaspora who took the opportunity on Saturday, sorry, to stand in solidarity with the persons here in Dominica, we want to say our hats out to you and continue to do just that. Because I know and I have faith and belief that one of these days we are going to see a different Dominica, but we have to take our country back one way or the other. So thank you very much, Ms. Paul, and calling on all Dominicans, come down to the city on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Thank
is-
you.
Yes,
Thank you,
that is vintage Paula there. Baseball, vintage Paula.
Yes.
When
Yes.
it comes to our country, she ain't play.
Powerful lady. Yes, she is.
Let me just move across now to the live feed as we're about to bring the program to a wrap in just a bit and get some of the comments there. Janice sharply saying, I'm late. Good evening, but I'm there. Cecilia Bedminister, I saw you yesterday. You were walking. Cecilia Bedminister is writing here. Adi is a powerful woman leader. Cecilia Bedminister is also saying, driving back to Maryland will do. Dave Bertrand said, congratulations, Adelaide. You all braved the weather yesterday. Veronica Pascal said, most people said they want to come back to Dominica. Somebody else is writing, United we stand. That is Codrington Daily. Gerard Dossett is watching. Rosie Nice is saying, strength in numbers. Frances Benjamin says, be safe, beautiful. All the accolades coming for you, Adelaide, your way. Angela Paul is writing, well, Addie, powerful woman you are. Hands up, girl, strength in numbers, indeed. Let me see if I can take some more comments here. Claudette Durand is saying, soldier. Margot Larocque is writing, correction, Adelaide, it is not a Labour Party, it is Carrot's party.
True.
Adi John is writing, Bowie strong. Yeah, I saw Bowie really give good representation yesterday at that walk. Anita Adams says here, I sure wasn't afraid of standing up yesterday. Let's keep walking, people. So thank you very much, Miss Adams. Marilyn Isles is, well, before I get to Marilyn Isles, let me take Celia Gordon. Celia Gordon is suggesting here, next time, stand up under the United Nations on the sidewalk by the United Nations, not way over on the other side of the road, where not even the United Nations camera could not even see all you. That is what Celia Gordon is suggesting for next time around. All right. Very encouraging, Miss Paul. Again, Deal is writing that here. Bernard Allen is saying, good night again. To deal with the head, we have to deal with the body which carries it around. The power reps must be made to understand that we keep speaking of Skerrit as if he's the only one to blame. Bernard continues here. Dominicans stand against them, the power reps, and shake this organization from its foundation. That is the comment of Mr. Allen. Thank you very much, sir. Marilyn B. Isles, right. I don't understand how people can continue to normalize the 3 apartments / houses thing. That is what continues to empower this government and this administration. Dorian Dorival writes, we have to keep the fight for our beautiful Dominica. We really need our children's future. Eldika John, another solid soul there from Salisbury, says, thank you, Sister Adelaide, and everyone who stood up for country. I wore white in Roseau yesterday.
Very nice.
I wore white, to work yesterday at Eldika John saying, in solidarity with you all, I've been walking every Wednesday and I will continue to walk, stand for my country. Stand and fight for my country. Thank you very much, Eldika. I know that is a lady we can really rely on anytime that call is made for country. Everlasting Peter says, 3 very interesting segments onto this program. Thank you, Lofty and Paula. Thank you very much, Mr. Peter. Marshall Lawrence is writing here. I sense things are getting deeper now. Can't be the same no longer. Change must come. Let me see if I could move down to get some new voices here on this comment. Margot Larocque, she's writing here. Thank you, Paula. Let's walk. Paula has committed herself to the walking. Stephanie John Baptist is saying, thank you, Paula. Who else? Owen Prosper. I saw that brother yesterday. He says, I was there walking, reached a little late, but I enjoyed it. Yes, I saw you yesterday, Brother Owen, so thank you very much indeed. Henrietta Jim says, thanks everyone to stand for country, true soldiers. Oliver Chibrune is watching as well, and the comments continue, but in the interest of time, ladies and gentlemen, we have to, kind of bring it to a wrap in just a while. So, Ms. Paul, any final comments coming from you before we bring it to a wrap? Or you want to comment on any questions or comments that you heard?
Well, yeah, sure. Not so much the comments on the questions, but more so moving forward, guys, keep your ears open wherever you are in the diaspora. We many of the people who were there, they said, let's form a committee. We've already kind of put everybody together. So we're going to sit and we're going to brainstorm for our next event. We're thinking that probably once a month we should do this. Just continuously, especially as the weather is going to become so much better. Probably we'll come up with some great ideas. Who knows? Maybe we'll probably travel to another city to engage others, bring in all diaspora, other diaspora people from other areas. So, again, this is a start, but it ended on such a positive and powerful note. And I just, again, want to say just to everybody who came out yesterday, we know it was a sacrifice. We know that we believe in country. You guys are the true patriots. You guys are patriotic Dominicans. Many people have, of course, said that they would really love to return home. They would love to return to a better Dominica. I would too. And so let's continue this. We have to keep the momentum going. It's only the people, we the people, who can change this administration. Don't wait for Roosevelt to do anything differently. He's going to double down on what he's already done that has worked for him. We are the ones who can change the trajectory.
True. Thank you very much. Just a few more comments before we go. Mali Austria is writing here. Imagine my mom and brother is total labor because his girlfriend vote for teacher Ernie. They passing my mom and brother straight without their ham and turkey, magwe sa. And I expect that language and more from Mali Austria. Mali Austria, good evening to you in a very big way. Ronnie Rowe is writing here as well. Even in Marigot, we're gonna walk. That is what Ronnie Rowe is saying. Ronnie, good evening to you, my brother. Omar Monel said, thank you everyone who came out yesterday. We also have Mr. Thomas Later is watching as well. Anita Adams saying, great program as always, lofty. And that is how we want to kind of bring down things here this afternoon. So Adi, your final words before we go.
I just want to say, together we can, united we can, together as one, we can move mountains. So let's come together in Dominica and in the diaspora to move this, what is it? Go wash Adashimela. We the people can move together, put our forces together and move that stone from our way.
Indeed. Adi, thank you very much. All the best with your future works, and thank you for that kind of leadership that is very rare that you are exhibiting. Thank you.
Thank you, Lofty. Thank you, Paula. Have a good evening and a great week.
Yes, indeed. All righty, Dominicans, that is it. We know all good things come to an end. We had a first segment, we had a second segment, and yes, we are just concluding now our third segment, Dominicans. Our first segment, in terms of recap, started with Mr. Glenn Banis, a Dominican originally from Casa Bruce. He's out in the Houston, Texas area doing good things for and on behalf of his country still. The highlight of his presentation this afternoon, he spoke of Afro Creole Music Festival that he puts on in Houston, Texas every year, where he basically allowed Dominica and Dominicans rather to showcase the talents and kind of give them a bigger stage, as it were. So thank you, Mr. Banis, for making the program what it was this afternoon. Your contribution was tremendous. We appreciate it each and every time. The second leg of the program, we went across to the Kalinago territory, where we spoke to a very hardworking farmer, a very hardworking mother, a politician, a community lady in the name of Mrs. Annette Sanford. She too did justice to the program this afternoon by basically putting the meat on the topic we have been discussing for some time about building or helping build stronger communities block by block. So yes, Annette, we want to acknowledge your presence here with us this afternoon and ask that the Father above continue to give you the strength and whatever you require as you continue on this journey of yours for country. Finally, but by no means least, we just heard from Ms. Adelaide Paul, who basically gave us a synopsis or an update as to what transpired in New York yesterday, where they stood, they replicated that work that is ongoing in Dominica, initiated by Athi Mate, a very senior patriotic brother up in years. He's visually challenged, but Afi's always out there. And so Afi, to you and your team, Magu and the others, we want to thank you very much for putting country first in that aspect and being out there as often as possible to stand in defense of country. So ladies and gentlemen, we went through some of your comments as well. Thank you very much. Your comments, your suggestions, they are always appreciated. And we always want to thank you for spending some of your Sunday afternoon with us right here on the Civic Vibes platform. That is how we want to do it each and every Sunday for you. We want to raise the bar in terms of the conversations in Dominica. And so the Civic Vibes platform is one platform that we assure you that the conversation will be at a certain caliber. We are not going down any gutter. Though there are very, gutterish languages around us and among us, but we'll sure not stoop so low in the gutter. We want to build our country in a very distinct manner, and that is how we try our best to elevate the conversations here each and every time. Dominicans, what is happening here on Civic Vibes? It is not a spectator sport. You too, yes, you're watching me now, you're watching Paula now. Every Sunday, you too can be part and parcel of the conversation as well. So please feel free to reach out to myself, reach out to Paula, so that you can be part and parcel of the conversation. It is not a thing where we come and talk to you every Sunday. We want to talk with you. That, I think, some of the sentiments that was echoed by Annette Sanford. And so please feel free to be part and parcel of the conversation. You too have contributed and still contributing to your country's welfare, your country's development in one way, shape, or form. So we look forward to hearing from you in terms of saying, hey, Lofty, I want to be part and parcel of the Civic Vibes program, because make no bones about it, people. This program that we put every Sunday on in terms of the high output, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of sacrifice. So it is not a wash your foot and come program we have every Sunday. Eh? If you look at the output, it takes something. And so you can make that load lighter on us by being a volunteer, because when we have to go out there and literally, ask persons to be part and parcel of the program. We do that from the local front, regional front, and yes, the international front. So the opportunity is extended to you as well, so that we can be one big Civic Vibes family. All right, Dominicans, that is it for me and Paula here. Let me just move across so that Paula can give the final words as we bring this program down in a wrap in just a bit. Yes, Paula, you are on with your fans and friends.
Yes, Lofty. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the guests that we had this afternoon. I think it was indeed a very wonderful program as usual. Lots of information. It's just that in the interest of time, when you are there giving so much information, so much to talk about, and time just flies away. But nevertheless, to all the persons who will tune in to us this afternoon by whatever social media that you want, I want to say thank you very much as usual. Hope that you have a blessed week. I think we are into the Easter, Lofty.
Yes.
So I wish everyone, the persons who take part in the Easter, a blessed Easter, and have a nice week. Thank you very much, Lofty. Have a nice week too, Lofty.
Have a nice week yourself, Paula. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Dominicans, that is it. That is it for us here. That is it for us. We want to thank you each and every time for your ears and eyes. That is where it all happens each and every Sunday from the 4 o'clock hour. Dominicans, just 2 items on the agenda before we go. One, I know some of you don't know, so let me just kind of spill the beans as it were here. Yours truly basically took upon himself to do something in the course of the week. It is not a regular program. I want to be very clear with us. It is not a regular program. It is a program entitled Finding the Facts. It is not a regular program like every Wednesday, every Tuesday, every Saturday. No, it is not every Sunday program. No, like Civic Vibes. It is whenever the facts on any matter becomes available, yours truly put this program together. The name of that program is Finding the Facts. We had the debut of that program last week, Tuesday, I believe, with some pilots that basically brought a case against Liat 1979 Limited. A number of pilots came together from across the region, and the court, the High Court in Antigua, went with their part of the bargain in terms of some of the regulations that barred these pilots from approaching the courts for their severance pay as it pertains to Liat laying them off. So we had the debut program. That was the topic that we discussed. And so again, I want to reiterate, it is not a scheduled program. So don't look for that program every Tuesday. Whenever the facts on any matter becomes available, where yours truly have the hard facts in his hand, and persons are willing to come on and expound on those facts rather, then that program will be aired. You will be given prior notice by some Facebook notifications, so you can please look forward to that program as well. Okay, so that is the program dubbed Finding the Facts. If you know me very well, I am not a person that like to go by hearsay. I am one who like to deal with the facts of any and every matter. So hence that all-important program dubbed Finding the Facts. It is a local program, it is a regional program, and yes, we will be touching on some international matters as well once the facts are available. Dominicans, just finally here, I'm getting some update as to the Choksi matter. Remember this guy, Mr. Mehul Choksi? Mehul Chenobai Choksi, this Indian fugitive, or he lives out in Antigua and Barbuda at this time. I'm getting some update from very reliable sources as to what may happen to that case that is pending in our courts, where Mr. Mehul Choksi was charged for illegally entering Dominica. This is Mr. Choksi's claim that he was kidnapped from Antigua and Barbuda and brought to Dominica against his will. Yours truly, I'm getting some updated information as to what may be the outcome of that case as we speak. Let me assimilate the facts of that case in terms of that update. And once everything is dotted, once all I's are dotted, all T's are crossed, as it relates to that matter, I may just do a live this week to bring us up to date as to what I am hearing on this matter. But it is not a very good news that I'm hearing, but I will hold some of it close to my chest now, as I'm not privy to all the facts as yet. What I am hearing, how this matter may go in the magistrate's court in Dominica. All right. So please stay tuned, keep your eyes and ears open as to that very interesting matter that is in our courts in Dominica as we speak. So Dominicans, thank you again for your eyes and ears. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you for your support in whatever way, shape, or form.